Sending data. And we are online. Yes! We are doing the thing. Hi everyone, it's Saturday and I'm pressing buttons, which is why I'm not looking at the camera. But now I'm looking at the camera. I'm looking right at the fucking camera. Hi everyone, this is my podcast, SUPcast. I don't know if you guys watched that video where I was in my van sweating a lot, but that was the 1 year anniversary of this podcast. So now we're into year two. And what better way to kick off year two of this friggin' podcast that I started in my van than having my actual blood relative, my blood brother, Bobby. And we're going to talk about some weird shit. I don't know what we're going to talk about. We could talk about pretty much anything, but not everything. So I don't know. Where's this going to go? I don't know what we're going to do. It could get really weird. It could just be pretty boring. I don't fucking know. Don't tell me what to do. But right now, shout out one more time. All year, we were shouting out the Wendigo Tea Company. Look at the friggin' label on this. Drinking the Throat Health Herbal Tea, the Siren. And if you're living in a moldy, shitty apartment like I was before I moved up here, you're going to need some tea to soothe your throat because your fucking respiration is going to be all shit and fucking damn and piss. So drink some of this tea. There's a link in the description below, and there's a link in the About section of the Twitch channel if you're watching on Twitch. And yeah, we're going to get into it, man. I did not promote this. This is something that we're just doing this. Last minute, Bobby P, my fucking brother, said he wanted to be on the podcast. So we're going to fucking riff, and we're going to roll, and we're going to talk about some shit. And that's what this is. I'm going to run the credits right now. Let's roll those credits. Yeah. Yeah, big baby boy. We got a new fucking interface, and it's a new fucking year of this podcast. It's a new Neil P today. Not really, same Neil P, older Neil P, dying closer to death every day Neil P today. And let's switch over here right now to my brother whose eyelids are looking heavy for some reason. And I'm going to hit this button right here, and here we go. Bobby P, my brother from the same fucking mother. Say something.
Hi.
We're live. Hey, we're on the internet.
How are you?
I'm pretty good. I can't complain. Allie and I went to Sprouts this morning, and they had a good deal on nutritional bars. I bought some nutrition bars, and then we actually... In Rancho Palos Verdes, there's a golf course, and it's Trump's golf course, which is wild.
That is wild.
Yeah, so we literally, his name is on the golf course, which means I'm pretty sure he owns it, right? If his name is on it.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. So
Dude owns a lot from what I hear.
It's really weird because there's a path that goes down to the ocean, and there's like a nature preserve, but it's all like surrounded by the actual golf course. So you'll be walking down the path to the ocean, and whoever like can afford to golf at Trump's golf course will like be driving by on their little golf scooters, and you can hear them teeing off and saying stuff. But it's divided in a weird way. But there's some intersect. It's strange.
It sounds lovely.
It's very lovely. The view is nice.
Good views are good.
The views are good. But it's weird, though. It's not like a beach. When you get down to the ocean, you walk. You do the zigzag down a cliff, like a cliff face. And then when you get to the actual ocean water, it's just a bunch of rocks pretty much and a lot of seaweed. So it's not like a beautiful beach. But it is the ocean. You can see Catalina Island in the distance. Yada, yada, yada.
Sounds cool. Sounds dangerous.
There's like rails when you're going down the cliff face. There's an actual like man-made path that zigs and zags, and there's rails. The craziest part is when you go over this bridge before you get to the actual path that goes down to the ocean, and you can look over the bridge, and it's like just a sheer drop. where probably if you fell, it'd be like 40 feet and you'd hit the rock and explode.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
You'd hit the rock and you'd explode. So, yeah, for those watching this podcast, Bobby, tell the world who you are. You're an enigma. You lurk in the shadows. You don't have social media.
Yeah, no, I gave up that stuff a while ago. I don't know. I'm simple. I'm just a dude. I work. And I have a kid, and I take care of him as best I can, and then I work more.
I say that on the podcast all the time. I'm just a dude because I'll come like I'll be like, oh, I have knowledge on this, but I always preface and or add I'm just a dude if I'm acting certain about literally anything because I'm not certain about shit.
Right? Yeah. No, I'm the same way. I'm not certain about much in life. The longer I live, the more I realize like nothing is ever what it seems.
What are you certain about, bruh?
I'm certain that I need water and food and sleep and warmth in order to survive. And I'm certain. Actually, I'm not even really certain, but I mean, it seems like something we're supposed to do is live. And try to like survive, even though we don't really have to try very hard to survive nowadays.
I feel like it's our instinct as living creatures to live, to survive. That's why when you see like crazy catastrophic earthquake type stuff happening, like you see video footage of it, everyone's fleeing and running and it's pandemonium because that's our instinct. We're like, fucking live. We must continue.
Right.
But
it's like everyone for themselves too at the same time, where it's like they don't give a shit about the person next to them, like, suffering the same plight. It's like I'll like someone's reflex to drown someone to not drown themselves, like to push someone down to float above water. Like, you see it happen all the time in like, boat accidents or something like that. But anyway,
there's some sort of animal. I don't know if it's a crab or what it is, but if you put a bunch of them in like a garbage can or in some sort of a cylindrical vessel, that none of them can escape because literally as soon as any of them get to the top, the other ones will start eating and clawing and dragging the other down to make sure they can't get there. And I don't know if it's a crab because once again, I'm just a dude. I don't know shit. But I think that's a good analogy for a lot of living creatures in general, especially human beings. It's like, if like, let's say we're all trapped in this cylindrical thing and some people are almost getting to the top, do we push them? Do we help them? Or do we fucking, pull them down and make sure they can't get there unless it's us?
Do we try to climb over them so we can get out? I mean, like, maybe that's like the ultimate goal. It's like the opposite of like hive mind, like instead of all for one, it's quite literally like, everyone for themselves. And like, you see like that movie World War Z where like all the zombies like worked together to accomplish a task and get over that wall in Israel or wherever, and like humans would never do that. like humans would just stand there and be like, we gotta blow this up somehow. How are we gonna do this? Like
I feel like this collective individualism is a very American thing, but then again, that's just me being an American and watching this shit and commenting on it.
I mean, I think when it comes to like true survival, like true fear of loss of life, it's probably the same for all humans, in that like, consideration for others goes pretty much out the window, except for like, I'm sure mothers and their children. But I'm sure a lot of dads would just be like not even think twice, like just peace out, but
like being a dad, you wouldn't be surprised if other dads, I don't know what it's like to be a dad, but you're saying like,
I mean, I guess I'm saying that there's like, more of a deeper bond between like mother and child, especially like biological, like than father and child, and like that the mother instinct, would put the child first, but the father, like the survival instinct, might take over, and in true face of death and fear, like ultimate fear, like it might all go out the window more often for a male than for a female if there are kids involved. I mean, I don't think I would hope to God I wouldn't ever like leave my kid in the dust as I'm like, oh my God, there's a meteor, blah, but
I wonder if I was with Allie and some sort of cataclysmic thing would happen if I would just turn into a total asshole and just like start running without any fucking thought about protecting her. A part of me thinks that I would like do whatever because I get that instinct when I'm with her. If I feel like she's being threatened or she's in danger,
right.
Especially when we're out in public and during Corona times and we're in Long Beach, which there's some fucking like gnarly people that are kind of scary, and so I have to puff my chest up sometimes and just make sure, so like there's a part of me that thinks that I would try and protect her, but I definitely did not give birth to her, and I am not her dad. So
That's good. That's a good thing, I think.
She is not my daughter, and I am not her dad. At least I don't think.
I know. I mean, I know. I've experienced it. Like it really doesn't matter. Like there's no way to know what you're gonna do until you're faced with it.
I mean,
so you can speculate like all day, but
yeah,
nobody can tell the future.
Not to just jump right into it, but like when our dad died, I remember I always had it in the back of my mind how I would feel and how I would act, and when it actually happened, I acted completely differently and completely, you know what I mean? I felt so many feelings that I didn't think would even be there. I was just like, yeah, fuck him. I don't give a shit. He was an asshole. And yeah, it's like you're saying, it's like you'll know when you get there because you can speculate. Like all those motherfuckers that watch shit on TV and they're watching like those scariest police chase videos or whatever, or they're watching stuff or they're watching sports and they're like, oh, why didn't he just do this or do that? I would have done this, or like I would have taken the gun, I would have ducked, I would have jumped up. It's like you don't know what the fuck you do. You just sit on the couch, motherfucker.
Yeah, the armchair quarterback.
That was our dad.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and you come to find out he was like never even athletic at all. Like he played hockey, but only because like he was forced to and like hated it. And I guess he played softball. And so I assume he played baseball, but who knows?
That's wild because he was always quick to tell us that how unathletic we were, like, and how not tough we were. But it's like, wait a minute, like, what did you do? Did you play collegiate sports? Did you how much could you bench, bruh?
Right. No, yeah, dude. He was, I don't know. He projected a lot onto us, and like everything that he wasn't, he wanted us to be, to like vindicate, I think, his lack of existence that he thought he was going to have or should have had, and
he deserves it.
It was rough. I mean, there was some pretty high expectations, and it's been well documented, like the interesting things he used to do, like screaming at us and stuff in the middle of like a crowded field of sport.
Oh, dude, I had this girl on my podcast last week, or it was 2 weeks ago. I don't even fucking know what day it is anymore. And I was telling her the total soccer story about how I would be fucking playing the Ninja Turtles game and you would be playing indoor soccer. And it would literally be a shouting match between you and our dad for all of the parents to witness for the entire duration of the game. It was like a back and forth screaming match. Like
I'm surprised that the place let it happen. I really am. Like it was, and I'm surprised in retrospect. I wasn't embarrassed at the time. I was just pissed off.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I got sick at some point in my life of being screamed at by him, and I just started screaming right back at him. And like,
you were young, dude. You probably were like 12 years old.
Yeah. That's when I was playing travel soccer, like 12, 13, 14. And that makes sense. That's when I kind of like I guess I don't know if that was when I started puberty, but that's when I started just getting pissed off, man. And fuck you, dude. Fuck me. Fuck you.
Fuck
and
you.
All the parents are like, oh my God, look at this. These people are yelling at each other.
Yeah, the craziest part about it is like he had to have been somewhat like he was intimidating. Like he was, he was like, I don't know if he wasn't like intimidating like physically, like he was I don't know, he was 6 foot, 6'1", but
he's a big dude.
But his
broad, tall.
his voice was intimidating.
Yeah.
Because and I don't think that's why any of those parents, they didn't say shit to the guy, because they're like this dude's a psycho. Like he literally is screaming at his kid the entire fucking soccer game, and his kid is screaming back, and no one called him on his bullshit. None of those fucking or did they?
I don't know. Not to my knowledge, but I mean, I guess we couldn't see every sideline interaction. I know he wasn't well received by a lot of the social community and surrounding the things we did, but there you go. But yeah, it's weird.
It's very weird. And yeah, because you think there would be some like other tough guy parent that would just be like, hey, watch it or calm down or we don't want this. Like, you think they would like gang up on him and tell him to leave. But it was an ongoing thing. The whole time you and I were involved in sports when we were younger. Like, there was always fucking, and I told the story too about how we were doing warm-ups for the football game. It was a home football game in Northville High School, and I was starting offensive guard, and none of the other parents walked onto the field to watch their kids warm up before the game. But our father, for some reason, walked onto the field all the way over to the offensive lineman drills where we're warming up for the game, and he sat there like this, and he watched me and my other offensive lineman warm up before the game, and he just sat there and just watched us.
What? Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that happened.
Dude.
Why in the hell would he do that?
Because he was fucking nuts.
Right.
It's like, who does that? Like, I get it. You're in the stands. You're supporting your kid. You're cheering when the ball's going. If a good play happens, you cheer. But this is before the game even started. He walks onto the field unprovoked, like no one said, hey, come on. He just decided, I'm going to walk onto the fucking field and watch these kids do their warm-ups, and I'm going to sit there, and I'm not going to fucking say it. And I noticed him. I could like feel his presence. And I was just like, but that's the thing, is instead of being like, wow, this is terribly fucked up, I'm just like, oh, I got to show him I'm a fucking badass, bro. And then when I started doing well, when it's funny because when like I got my name up on the board for like weightlifting and all this shit, he was just like, yeah, he's like obviously you're on steroids. So it's like even if you or I did something good, it was either A, not good enough, or B, it was because we cheated.
Or because yep, that good enough never was. You got that tattooed on you.
I know, isn't that terrible?
Yeah, I mean that was just beat into us, man. And the reality is there's a whole lot of good. There's a whole lot of good, like both of us, man. A lot of accomplishments, and we turned out to be, for the most part, like respectful and well-intentioned individuals, and but for some reason, that dude could only look at what we weren't or what we didn't do right. And
it was wild. So you remember St. Andrews Hall, right?
The Battle of the Bands.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but like years later, it was 2012, and we played at St. Andrews Hall with Fishbone, and I was super fucking jazzed. Fishbone's like one of my favorite bands, and he decided that he was just gonna show up. Like, I didn't invite him to the show. And then at Christmas, I remember he was like, they didn't exactly pack the place now, did they? Talking about Fishbone. And then he even went so far as to say there wasn't a whole lot of black people in the audience for Fishbone. Now, was there? And I was just like, what the fuck have you done? Like, who's come to see you on stage doing something? Who has supported literally anything you've created? Have you ever even created anything besides some kids that don't like you? You know?
Right.
And then
that's ridiculous.
And then Uncle Johnny, he fucking chimes in. He's like, "Oh, Fishbone." He's like starts singing a Fishbone song because Johnny was like a hip '80s guy. Like Johnny was a young man in the '80s, probably like, I don't know, early 20s in the '80s. How old was he in the '80s?
I don't know.
But he knew Fishbone. He knew Fishbone was on MTV. Now, does Fishbone draw a crowd like they did in the '80s anymore? No.
Right.
But
things change.
But dude, like, don't go support your kid. He would do the same thing with our sister. Go and support, and then just say what he didn't like about it. It's like, just support your fucking kids. Would you go to your, like, you have a kid, would you go to your kid's fucking T-ball game and just be like, now, Ethan, you did all right, but you did this, and this wrong. Like, just support your fucking kid, even if your kid is the worst fucking T-ball player. You know?
Absolutely.
Who cares?
No, I mean, I caught myself, being too hard with my kid with baseball, and like, he wasn't all excited about it, and I found myself like even having a propensity to project that, like, what I, thought I should be, he should be. I loved baseball, he should play baseball, but like, I realized quick into it, like, whoa, this is like the same territory here that I was put through, and it's like, no, this can't happen, like, and to back off, and like it's great, like, the more I let him just do his thing, the more he just decides to love whatever the heck he's gonna love, and he ends up loving baseball, which is great. But yeah, it's easy to do, and Dad, I don't know. He's a douchebag. But I think he just wanted everything. He wanted us to be everything that he ever wanted to be.
I think it had a lot to do with growing up in Grosse Pointe and going to private schools and coming from privilege. And I think a lot of times if you come from a place of privilege, I think you deserve that privilege just for existing, that right. Sort of lifestyle. And I feel like that's why so many chicks you and I went to high school with, they marry older dudes with money. It happens a lot. And it just has to do with these Northville chicks and people in general from the town we grew up in, because dude, any way you cut it, like, privilege, Northville, they're one and one. We grew up privileged. Like, we were on the poorer end of it. We were faking it. That's what I always tell people. Because we were there because our parents made this giant sacrifice for us to go to really great schools. But they were in debt up to their fucking ears. And Dad got laid off, and he was in the basement playing baseball stars, smoking cigarettes. And Mom went back to work and pretended she was fucking Jewish so she could get a job at that Yeshiva Dashat Torah day school. And all the kids knew that she wasn't Jewish. But
they liked her, though.
But they liked her. But either way, Mom went back to work because she wanted us to keep that house and to stay in Northville. But back to what I was saying, you get used to a certain amount of privilege and a certain lifestyle. And what's the best way to continue that? If you're a pretty girl who grew up rich.
Yeah, let's find someone that's already established.
And I'm not saying I'm sure there's pretty girls that went to our high school that made a name for themselves, worked really hard, busted their ass in order to cultivate some sort of a lifestyle that was similar to the one they grew up with. But bro, a lot. And it's the way of the world. I'm not mad about it. It just is what it is. A lot of the girls we went to high school with, they are continuing that lifestyle. And with older, well-to-do men. And not that there's anything wrong with that. Use that vagina. Get it.
Well, what if you were one of them?
I don't know.
You were one of those girls. What would you do?
I don't know. Well, this is the thing is...
Probably do the same damn thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is I'm not hating on it. It just is what it is. That's a really good question. Okay, if I was a pretty girl from a rich suburb, and I think it all depends on the critical thinking, because really what I came to find out when I was into my 20s is that it all was a lie. Is that the things that mattered to me were not a nice car. It wasn't security. The things that matter to me are things that don't yield any sort of, I don't know, art, expression, experience. Like, those are the things that are important to me. And I don't know. Dude, I don't know. You just kind of blew my mind with that question.
What would you do, man?
But I think it makes sense too if you want to have kids and you want to have a family, to choose a partner that is going to provide, to choose a provider, you know? And it makes sense.
Yeah. And money, you know, money might not buy happiness, but it buys a lot of things.
This is true.
And sometimes a lot of things can bring happiness, at least the perception of happiness, through like a continuous dopamine release. Kind of like an addict, you know, you can become addicted to that lifestyle, and like being ritzy and, you know, having everything done for you, and, you know, having your personal trainer for 3 hours a day, and, you know, all of that crazy, and like living in a mansion, and without having to do anything, you know, other than just being like a, you know, a pretty young girl. And I mean, dude, I can't think that, like, statistically that is significant, though. I think for the most part, and it's because of like the town we grew up in, it was very unique in that. I don't think it's like that many other places. But then again, how the hell do I know? If you're not there, see it with your own eyes. There's really no way to know what's true anymore.
Well, I would
like what's really happened.
I would say, especially out here, if you grew up in like Beverly Hills or something, that it's like that out here too. I'm pretty, yeah. I wouldn't say Northville is like special as far as. I think any like really high property tax, like very wealthy community is just gonna breed more of that. And it's just, you know, like rich, powerful people, they stick together, and but it's been very weird for me, because there's been this kind of duality of growing up in a well-to-do community, but then deciding a profession that is going to keep me consistently below the poverty level for my entire adult life. So it's strange, because I may have grown up privileged, but I became poor as soon as my adult life started. Like, and what's wild is, you know, I'm 39 years old. You and I are pretty much the same age. We might as well biologically be the closest thing to twins that exist on this planet, or a clone, you know?
Right.
Like,
hey, my headphones are starting to die, so I don't know if I should plug them in, or if I should find some other audio source, or just use speaker.
You can do whatever you want.
Okay. Yeah.
If you take the headphones off, I'm just gonna have to adjust the levels a little bit, but I think it'll be fine. But if you can plug them in and keep talking, I don't know, bro.
I don't know if I can, man.
Do your thing. All I know is we're at a very low amount of drop frames. We're half an hour into this podcast, and I'm at 100% battery. I've been fixing these fucking problems consistently since I started streaming, and I'm at the point where we could fucking go. We could do this for 4 hours. I've never gone longer than 3, but it's up to you.
Huh.
There's no rules, dude. There's no fucking rules anymore. Actually, there's a shitload of rules.
There's no crying in baseball. That's a rule.
There's no crying in baseball. There's no crying in baseball. What's cool too is having you on this thing, Bobby. You there?
I'm here.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know how to put it on speaker, though.
No, it sounds fine.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. You there?
I can. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
You hear me good?
Keep talking.
You hear me fine?
The audio quality is not as good, but if you plug your headphones in and get a little charge, you can switch back if you want. I don't know, whatever. Fuck it, bro.
Yeah, I'll do that.
You know what's nice? Okay, so this is your new house, eh?
Yeah, my new pad, man. My new crash pad. It's little, but it's lovely.
Good.
It's simple, but it's perfect for me. And friggin' amazing location, like right by downtown, but also right by Heinz Drive, but yet not in downtown, so it's a little bit more quiet.
Bobby, be careful with that. Whatever you're fiddling with.
Me?
What are you fiddling with?
My headphones.
Okay, cool. Just saying. There's terms of service on
fiddling
on Twitch. Okay, so and that's the other thing too is sometimes I interview like quasi celebrities and I get all nervous but right now I'm nervous in a different way because you literally, I mean, you've thrown up on me before. You know, we've had a lot of we've had a lot. What's that? No, I threw up on you.
Yeah.
Let's tell this story.
Yeah. No.
Why not? No?
Yeah. Dude, you fucking puked on me, man.
That was at the Horton house, right?
No.
Yeah, it was.
No, it wasn't. It was at Lexington.
It was at the Lexington house? Okay, so I was...
I bunked with you on the bottom because Aunt Mary was in town and stole my room because she did every time she came to town.
Oh.
And Mom, for some reason, was pissed off that night, and you were like whining, and you're like, my stomach really hurts. She's like, just go to bed. You're gonna be fine. And so halfway through the night, and I only know this based on other people's recollection because I didn't wake up until after.
Okay.
You started heaving, and you leaned over, and you hurled all over me.
Yeah, because we had those bunk beds where the bunks were like an L.
Yeah.
Yep. So your head was sticking out of under the top bunk. Like you were in the bottom level bunk. You were right here.
If only my head would have been in the covered part.
Yeah, I would have puked all over your like legs and torso, but instead I puked on your face.
It would have been on my blanket and like not me. Instead, I'm sitting there. I guess I was just straight sucking my thumb, like loving it. Didn't even wake up after getting puked on.
Is there a puke sound for here? No. Let's see if this one's a puke sound. No, there's no puke sound on this. This is bullshit. Okay, there you go.
That's pretty close.
No, there needs to be a or like a. This is bullshit. I'm so pissed.
Dang.
Here we go. There we go.
There we go. That's a good sound.
Okay, I thought that was at the Horton house for some reason. Always in my brain, my recollection, I thought that was in the Horton house.
No, I mean I very distinctly remember it in the other house, and unless maybe it happened more than once, and I just don't remember it happening at the Horton house because I was pretty young still. You know, but I don't know. I remember that happened. I remember it happened when I was at Moraine Elementary. Christina Katari got sick at lunch, and I was concerned, and I stepped off of the bench at Moraine. You know how they had those like pull down metal lunch benches?
Yeah.
And I stepped back off there, and I'm like, "You okay?" And she yacked all over me. And smelled like curry for like probably a week. Well, anyway, I felt bad for her. She was always nice to me, but then she puked on me.
I remember her older brother Nick worked at Guernsey, and he was like a big stoner. And before I started smoking weed, I always thought the stoners were like cool. I'm like, this guy's cool. He could like barely open his eyes, and I'm like, this fucking guy is what's up.
He barely opened his eyes. That guy can hardly see.
He's just
I
like,
want to be
hey
him.
man, you know, we gotta scoop this fucking ice cream, dude. I was like,
then there's the nitrous tanks in the back. Oh dear God.
I was like, I want to be like this guy. Oh yeah, so Bobby and I worked at this ice cream place, and they used to pressurize the homemade whipped cream with an actual nitrous tank that they kept in lock and storage. And so the whole time we were fucking working there, like all of the degenerates working at this fucking ice cream place, we just would fucking take hits of nitrous, like while on the clock, and just, we would fill up, like, okay, so the bowls that we put the ice cream in would come in a long cylindrical styrofoam, not styrofoam, plastic. And we'd take all of the fucking styrofoam containers out of the plastic, and it's a big balloon. So we literally were like on the clock, a bunch of 15, 16, 17-year-olds just going, oh yeah, man. And fucking just like super high on nitrous. And then we would go out to serve the public. And I remember, because it's a small town, the town we grew up in was small, we would be like scooping ice cream for parents of kids we knew, like all fucking just fucking fucked up. Like our brains were just hurting terribly because we were doing so much nitrous, like while we were on the job. And
I have to admit, I was never involved in that.
Okay, that was before your time?
No, I think I was there around that time, but I think I was still a little young, a little wet behind the ears to be introduced to that. Like, yeah. I think you kind of protected me from some things along the way at various occasions, believe it or not. But yeah, I know for a fact, yeah, I wasn't participating in that. But I mean, other stuff that was going on in the dish room and with the wait staff, that place was crazy.
That was a fun first job, dude. Like,
yeah.
Because, oh man, that was a fun first job. Yeah, but as far as that nitrous tank is concerned, there at one point, one of the dudes that worked back there actually stole a whole tank, and then we all got together when we weren't at work, and we just cashed the tank out. We're just like, yeah, dude. But then they started putting a lock on it, and they didn't have cameras or anything back then. It was like 94, 95.
Yeah, it was before the tech revolution.
Yeah, so it wasn't very, like, they had no idea who did it. And just, it's a bunch of fucking teenage kids lift a fucking nitrous tank from the ice cream shop they all work at, and they're just taking turns, like, doing these fucking giant balloons.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That was a great time. This is a long time ago.
That childhood debauchery.
Yeah, and then, yeah, and I remember all the line cooks were, like, they were a little bit older than us. So even when I was 17, we would go to our work and wait for the line cooks to get off work so they could buy us booze when we were teenagers. And it would always be the same thing. Like, you sure you're going to be cool with this? And we're like, yeah, we're going to be cool with this booze purchase. And then we'd go and drink till we puke, or fucking drink till we like made total fools of ourselves, or we'd sometimes get in our car and drive like a bunch of idiot kids. But luckily, I've driven drunk so much when I was a heavy drinker, but luckily, knock on wood, this isn't even real wood. No one got hurt, but that's not to say that if things would have been even slightly different, I could have ruined my whole life with some of the decisions I made.
Not just yours, but somebody else's.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and yeah, it's very fortunate because I've made many bad decisions myself, and just lucky, one of the lucky ones, and like I regret it though. And there was a point I'd like to think a long time ago where I was like, no, this isn't gonna happen ever again. Like, especially nowadays with like Uber, Lyft, and all this crap. It's so easy to get a ride wherever you got to go.
Oh, yeah.
It's so cheap. Like why would you ever, get jacked up on anything and then drive around? Like, it's one thing to be coming down from a little high from weed, but it's getting hammered and then getting behind the wheel. Like, this is stupid. And no one should ever have to do that ever again. Kills a lot of people. Like, it's significant amount of people, and it's crazy.
Yeah, like the statistics are through the roof, eh?
That's crazy.
It's crazy. Well, I remember too, like when I first started smoking weed, someone was like, "Oh, you can totally drive high," and I was like, "Okay." So the first time I drove high, I was in the Chevy Celebrity. Was it an '88 Chevy Celebrity, that maroon car? And
I think so. Was it maroon or was it like a gray?
No. It was maroon. It was like burgundy. No, it was burgundy. It was a burgundy vehicle. And and I remember remember where our sister used to take ballet classes in like Farmington Road area in like 6 Mile?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember I was driving right around there and I went to take a left and I was a terrible driver. And like I got in a couple accidents just from pure negligence, sober negligence. And being distracted and just being a dumb kid. Like, I rear-ended someone when I was listening to the Misfits once, stone cold sober, and just, like, forgot to stop because I was, like, changing the CDs or some shit. It was bad.
Yeah.
It was bad. But, so, the first time I'm driving stoned, I get in the left-hand turn lane, and I'm pretty sure I took a left into this parking lot of a, what the fuck do you call it? Where it's like a mall, but it's a bunch of fucking strip mall. And I'm pretty sure it was like Farmington Road or 6 Mile. Like it was a major road. So there's the left turn lane, then there's at least 2 lanes on each side. And I'm pretty sure when I took that left that I cut off two cars oncoming traffic, and if it would have been a split second later that I decided to turn, we would be dead. But I'm just like, I remember just thinking like, yeah, the guys at Guernsey say you can drive high. And I was 16 and I'm just like, left turn, and pretty much could have probably killed me and whoever else was in the car. But I just remember thinking to myself, oh yeah, it's all good. It's like,
absolutely.
It's like I would say you're a little bit more in control if you're on cannabis and you're driving a vehicle. But if you're a dumb fucking kid and you've never done it before, do some side streets. Don't go on any main roads. Your perception is totally fucked.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, you might be in a little bit more control than if you were all hopped up on something else. But you're still. You know, when you first start smoking weed, you still see everything in like what appears to be 4-dimension, like a pop-up book, and like, you know, there's and time dilates and like everything gets really weird and like fuzzy, and like your hearing gets affected too, and like your ability to locate like sound origin. It's not a good thing to do, especially when you're a young kid. And like, but dude, we had no fear at all. Like we were just stubbornly like naive and ignorant, and like, but that's so normal. Like for teenagers, like you don't develop that you know, that awareness, that like the possibility of you know, punishment coming from whatever risky behavior you're about to participate in until you're in your 20s.
I feel like it didn't really occur to me how dangerous being in a vehicle was until I fucking got in my first accident, and I'm like, oh shit, like you could fucking die.
It's a loaded gun, man, especially like going 70 miles an hour on the highway. Like that's ridiculous. It's so fast. All it takes is really like 15-20 mile an hour collision if you're not inside of a vehicle, like if you get struck by a vehicle, and like good night, good luck. Like it's crazy, and people are crazy behind the wheel, man. It's totally ignorant of the risk.
Do you feel comfortable talking about the car accident you got in speaking of
yeah, sure.
Okay, can you tell this story, because I think it's intense. Had you already done a deployment in Iraq?
Yeah.
Okay, so
I'd done one. I was training up for the second one that at that time we knew we were going on. So that was in 2005.
And where were you at?
Texas, Fort Hood. I was stationed at Fort Hood.
And you were Army.
Yeah, Army, 4th Infantry Division.
I know. I know all this shit. I just want to give it some context.
Oh, I got you. Okay. Yeah, 4th Infantry Division, Fort Hood. Yeah, our first deployment was 2003, 2004. Got back. Met Karen, my now ex-wife, but at the time, you know, a girl I was dating who moved down quickly to be with me in Texas, which was awesome at the time. And we're on vacation going to Galveston and coming actually on our way back on Memorial Day 2005. Got hit by a drunk driver.
Was it at night or was it during the day?
It was middle of the day. It was like 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh shit.
So it was a 2-lane highway, 70 miles an hour both ways, no divider in the middle. And this guy was in an old, like probably 19, maybe 60s model GMC pickup truck, like steel frame, big boy, you know, diesel chugger. But he was drunk and he veered across the lane and was apparently slowing down to turn into a drive that by the time the collision came to rest, like we had blown well past like 200, 300 meters past it. But the collision was pretty intense. But so we hit and pretty much head to head, and the truck caught fire. I was trapped in the vehicle and like had to pull myself out through the window. Karen was kind of trapped and like had to wiggle out through like a little gap in the door. And see the driver of the truck, like literally on fire, like 3-4 foot of flame coming off the back of his head. And like, but absolutely. But he was stunned. He was shocked. Like he wasn't like even aware that he was on fire. He wasn't screaming or anything. And like, so my knee was completely blown out. My left knee was blown out. My right shoulder was blown out. So I hobbled on my right leg, like over to this guy and just kind of just body checked him to the ground and like laid on him and like just started
swatting him,
swatting him. Yeah, just slapping the shit out of him basically. And I could smell the alcohol too. Like as soon as we were done, and I'm like looking at the guy, and like he's there's nobody home at that point. I'm like, come on, man! Like your truck's on fire. We gotta go. And he's just looking at me blankly, and like so like I grab him by the collar and like start dragging him, and finally he kind of gets up and like he starts hobbling himself off over to the side. And you know, there was at that point there was like a huge line of traffic that had stopped and back up. And you know, Karen ran to the road to try to get help, and one of the people was a nurse, and so they started taking a look at us, and like, so this guy's, you know, covered 3rd-degree burns, so pretty much it's like, yo, pay attention to this guy. You know, paramedics show up and go right to him. They got him a helicopter from the scene, and then loaded us up. I mean, Karen had intracranial, not a hemorrhage, but you know, she had a head injury basically, and had glass shards and stuff embedded through her. And like I said, my left knee got basically chopped up by the dashboard and like was just kind of limp. And then my right shoulder was completely dislocated because of the seatbelt. And it was just weird how it all happened. And you know, the fucked up thing is like literally, this is the crazy part about life, is like how this sometimes it seems like things are it's like it's almost written to be the way it is. Like there's no way to avoid it. Like predestination is 5 minutes before this accident happened, I was driving and we did a Chinese fire drill, which I don't even know if that's PC to say anymore, but who gives a fuck. And so Karen took over driving like 5 minutes before that wreck. And and if we wouldn't have stopped, we wouldn't have collided with that guy. Get this though, I mean, so I got all jacked up. I had to have a bunch of surgeries and stuff, and my unit was deploying, and so I didn't have to go forward with them. Obviously, I was still in the Army. You know, they basically put me back together, like a couple surgeries on my knee and physical therapy and stuff, and I stayed in the back in that deployment. The dude who took my spot on the line didn't come home.
Yeah.
So it's another thing too, like thinking about 5 minutes and how it changed the trajectory of my entire life. Crazy.
Man. Yeah, because that happened, someone went to Iraq instead of you. And you trained that guy, right? He was your friend, right?
His buddy, yeah, absolutely. You know, we weren't close, but you know, we were familiar and we were super friendly, and like I enjoyed the guy. He was a great guy, a great attitude. And yeah, I was the one who got assigned to show him around post when he showed up to our unit, when he got there from training, and got to introduce him to people. And my unit was like most military units, like it was kind of cliquey. It's like I kind of had my little group of friends, and then there's other little groups of friends, and like he wasn't in that same group of friend with me, but friends that I hung out with. But nonetheless, I mean, we were training buddies, battle buddies, and he was a great dude. Had a young kid. Yeah, he was in Abrams, a tank, and for some reason, I don't know why a medic would be in a tank, but I guess that deployment, a lot of people didn't come home. 2005 to 2006, like it was bad. And I was working in the back office, just watching the names roll through. And
so that accident kept you home from going to Iraq. So you only did one tour?
Yeah, no, I did two.
Okay, so did this happen after your second tour, this accident?
No, it was after my first tour, before the second tour that I went on, but also before the tour that I was supposed to go on that I didn't go on.
So
the second tour was in 2008, 2009. I got called back. I had a job, was going to school, and out of nowhere, the Army sent me orders for activation, and like, hey, you got to go back again. So I'm, another 13 and a half, 14 months activated, most of it overseas again. So yeah, it's that wrote out my contract, because I signed up for 8 years. And when I signed up, 4 of it was supposed to be active, but at the end of it, and then 4 years would be inactive. But by the end of it, it was I think almost 7 years that was active.
Now, was that your choice to remain active, or did they just, when you were inactive, they're just like, hey, you're fucking active again? How does that work?
I got stop loss because my unit was activated and deploying. So like that rear detachment stuff I was stop lost for almost 1.5 years.
What does that mean?
Like I couldn't get out when I was supposed to. I had to wait for my unit's deployment to be done for my unit to be able to release me, even though I was all like banged up and stuff from that car wreck. Right. Yeah. It was interesting, but at that point, I was still like bleeding the mission, thinking we were doing the right thing, and thinking that, it was the right thing to do. I don't know how else to say it. And so I wasn't upset that I got stop loss. I wasn't upset at all. I mean, I was upset being on rear detachment when, a lot of my buddies died. And the other part was, man, the suicide. There's a lot of suicides in my unit, like almost a dozen during that deployment, just because of the rigors, like the stress of not knowing who the bad guy is. Everyone like smiles and shakes your hand and like is nice to you to your face, but then all of a sudden you turn a corner and kaboom, and 6 people are dead. Like it's urbanized guerrilla warfare. Like it's crazy, and this is the new norm worldwide now. This kind of warfare, this is going to be the only thing that probably persists for a long time, unless there's like a big coming a forced battle, like on both sides, but I don't see that happening. But yeah, man. Yeah, so 2 deployments, one additional one that I just got to kind of watch from the sidelines.
What was going through your head when you were on doing the rear deployment unit, and like in your head you're probably like, I'm supposed to be out here with, this is my unit, this is my family. Like how the fuck, how do you wrestle with that when it's happening, while it's happening?
I mean, you get angry at the enemy, and you want to seek revenge on the enemy, and a retribution for your fallen. But for me, at least initially, I was kind of numb to it, but then the day I found out Dan died, the guy that took my spot, man, that was when I realized, like, you know what, you're freaking back here, you're powerless, dude. What are you doing? You're useless. And I actually had, because I did a lot of personnel work when I was on rear detachment, like legal stuff for the unit, and a lot of notifications and stuff, and like interactions with family and stuff. So like I was involved in a big way. But I had this one captain from forward, basically slapped me in the face through email and was like, we need to get your worthless butt either out of the unit or back up to the front. What are you doing back there?
Who said that?
The name doesn't matter, but it was a mid-level captain, like a mid-level officer, and it was on an email that included the upper leadership in my battalion. A lieutenant colonel, a sergeant major, the captain of the rear detachment section that I was working for, and like I remind you, I was lower enlisted. I was an E4. I was a specialist. So here in the middle of combat, like everyone stopped for a minute to talk shit about me in email, and like so that was like whoa, like.
But you got in a car accident and you had to get multiple knee surgeries, and there was a guy on fire that you fucking put out the flames on his body. You saved this guy's life, and then however much longer later, you're still working for the Army, and then they're talking shit. Like, what the fuck, man? That's insane.
Dude, as soon as I came back from that vacation in a sling and a knee brace, immediately, and mind you, like before that, I was like prepping for special forces, like qualification training, like qualification program, like going through selection. I had a date for selection, and like so I was training to be more and to leave this unit and to be bigger, and then this stuff happened, and I immediately became a piece of dirt. Immediately became a piece of dirt. I was an E4 promotable for like the last 2.5 years I was in that unit after that happened. No, it wasn't that long. Last year and a half. I should have been an E5 sergeant or on my way to E6 staff sergeant. But because of that, because of my injuries, I was no longer useful to the Army. And so I was no longer even considered for promotion at all. And even when I got out and then got called back, that they were kind of like waving, we'll promote you to sergeant. And like after that year and some change, no, I left that also still before. But rank doesn't matter to me. Like it, when it comes down to it, like I was lucky enough to be able to be on the line the whole time. And my second deployment, it was with MPs. It wasn't with the combat arms unit. And like we did police training, where we trained Iraq police how to do counterinsurgency work, basically. And all of the training I did was medical. Taught them, combat lifesaver stuff, like how to prolong life in the event of tragic injury, like a leg getting blown off or something like that. That was basically my job. Yeah.
So when you were on your second deployment, your cause was a little bit more noble, It
was. Yeah, it was cool, man. Like in hindsight, like because all of the towns were active again. Like all of the markets were active, and there was like big concrete barriers. They call them T-walls because they're upside down T's. They're like triangles on the bottom, and then they're like straight up concrete barriers, and like they're basically blast protection. So these things are just everywhere. And everything is like positively controlled. All traffic is positively controlled. And there's traffic control points, checkpoints everywhere. Security's all built up. Everything's working perfectly. Everyone's back in the markets, man. Like beginning of 2008 was fucking amazing. And then things changed. And, we started to talk about pulling out. And people there started, getting a little bit more brash with what they were, trying to poke us with and take pop shots at us with small arms or RPGs, and then IEDs started coming around more often. And then one day, my convoy got hit with an EFP, an explosively formed projectile, which is basically like a ball of copper behind an explosive. And like when the explosive goes off, it like superheats and pressurizes the copper, so it like sharpens itself and basically becomes like a liquid copper jab, and it can go through any armor. Like it cut our vehicles, our MRAP, mine resistant armor protective vehicles, in shreds. The vehicle that got hit in my convoy that day, that was in front of me, the engine, you could look through it and like quite literally just see like this hole through the whole engine block. And this is a semi truck engine, like I can't remember what the brand is, but
big fucking engine,
big fucking like 18-wheeler engine, like wow, like this stuff. And luckily the guys that were in that vehicle, you know, our stuff worked, and it blew the bomb before we got there. Like a kind of like a heat source that tricks the bomb into thinking that our vehicle is further ahead than it is, so it triggers it prematurely. And I don't know if they still use that stuff. I hope that's not classified information, but whatever. But it worked, and it saved everyone in the vehicle. You know, they had some flash burns. They were shaken up pretty good, but
so if that heat source wouldn't have detonated the explosive, it would have just fucking shot through everyone in the vehicle, essentially.
Those weapons are designed to take out the commanding officer and the driver of the vehicle. So it was aimed to, on a time delay, to detonate directly in line with the passenger driver in the front of the vehicle. And it would have, because the commander of the vehicle sits in shotgun, and then you have a driver, obviously, who's driving the vehicle, and then a gunner who's a little bit set back and then up top. But yeah, so it's designed to take out the person driving the vehicle and the person in charge. And a lot of times the person in charge of the vehicle can also be in charge of the entire convoy. So they get smart about that, where they try to hit strategically the vehicle they think that the commander of that entire convoy is in. And then they can basically have the greatest impact on the mission capabilities. And the morale, and completely, and I mean, there's occasions too, obviously, in the history books where there's multiple tiered ambushes, and like I didn't experience any of that. I got lucky where, like, you know, you'd have a bomb like that go off, and then there'd be people like in the buildings lining the highway or lining the road, what have you, who all just start raining down hellfire with small arms and RPGs and hand grenades and stuff after you stop the front vehicle in the convoy, basically. Like, so it's in a way the guerrilla ambush tactics. And it's extremely effective, extremely cheap. And like, you know, you look at the cost of all of our vehicles and equipment and armor and weaponry and everything compared to theirs. And like their effectiveness, like dollar for dollar, wow. And people don't think about that
Well,
stuff.
it's because they know the terrain, too. It's their home. You're in their home.
Absolutely. That's definitely a part of it. You know?
Jesus fucking Christ, man.
Yeah, that was war. That was the war I experienced. You know, every generation different experiences a different kind of war. Like Vietnam, I couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine what they went through, and Korea as well. Grenada, World War II. I mean, you just name it. Like every kind of battle is different in some form, and like I don't imagine how. And it's probably just because I'm used to the kind of stuff that I experience now. It's like I don't think I could handle like going to Vietnam. You know, yeah, I could handle Iraq. And I spent a couple of years of my life there. Like that to me now, that's like no big deal. Oh yeah, someone's just always trying to blow me up, and it's more. There's more than that. You know, I'm simplifying it, and it's not fair to the experience that other people had out there. But yeah,
Jesus.
I don't know. Couldn't do it. My hat's off to him, man.
Because
especially Vietnam, dude, coming home and getting slapped, spat on. You know, like, and granted, war's hell. Shit they had to do out there was terrible, and you know they're probably dealing with some guilt from that, on top of, you know, how people reacted when they got home. Like that, I feel for that generation. That's oof. But I know it's better for them now, but it just still doesn't make it right. But, and I know that's just like the veteran issue. Like, God, there's so many issues everywhere else. There's issues everywhere.
I feel like a lot. There's a rampant homeless problem in California, and I feel like if I don't know the exact number, but so many of them are veterans and dealing with a lot of mental health issues, PTSD, you name it, addiction, and we just Allie and I were on a walk with some of her friends, and we went into this coffee shop recently. And we just wanted a latte or whatever, and it wasn't Starbucks. We're like, let's support. And the business model is ran by veterans, and it's a nonprofit. So this coffee shop is just a bunch of veterans serving people coffee, and it's a nonprofit. And I believe any of the money that they make, they put into getting veterans into treatment programs for whether it's addiction or PTSD and stuff. And because I know you, I'm always quick to be like, yeah, my brother was 4th ID Army. And so I get it. And then it's weird because they look at you and they're just like, yeah, it's, I don't think a whole lot of people understand. And even if they attempt to understand, like you just hear this word PTSD thrown around, and especially by a lot of younger people who, like, granted, I'm not here to knock anyone's trauma. Like, if you suffered trauma, but I feel like it's just a word that gets, it's a word that gets thrown around a lot, and the severity of the trauma that people like yourself experience, like in a foreign country fighting a war they may or may not have even agreed with, but you sign a contract, you're signing your fucking life away for X amount of years to be the property of the government and a tool in order to fucking carry out their orders, whether or not they're moral. But at that point, like, are you even allowed to question any of it? Or are you just like brainwashed into thinking that you're the good guy? Like what is going through your head when how old were you? You were 19 when you signed up. Like where were you in your brain? Like, what was your... I always wanted to know that.
I mean, I guess, like, as far as why I decided to join, 9/11 happened. I was pissed off. I wanted to be a part of making that wrong right. And, I knew there was a war on. I knew there was going to be a part of it, but also there was like a back end pressure in my social sphere, because heroin was going around everywhere, and ecstasy, and people were dropping like flies, and mixing heroin and coke and stuff like that. And I never put anything in my veins. I've had my fun, but I just knew I needed to get the hell out of Dodge. I knew I needed to do something for myself, and that, like, there would come benefits with it, possibly education benefits, but that, it would also be good for my, discipline development and my direction, and possibly a stepping stool for the future. But it was about half of all of that stuff. And then the other half is like, I was just pissed off about 9/11 still and wanted to do something about it. And, Black Hawk Down movie had come out a year and a half, 2 years before 9/11 happened. And that got a lot of people stoked for service. Like, I don't know if that was the intention, but that movie did a really good job glorifying the hell of war. And, like, a lot of people wanted to be involved in it. And, like, that was part of that generation. I was part of that generation, and like that influence. And so, yeah, to me, and and like, Grandpa, World War II vet, and he fucking, from what I gather, he kicked ass. And, like, hey, I can do it. I can do it. Let's do it. And I did it. And then, it took me in a different direction than I thought it was going to. But nonetheless, it was a great direction. It put me through hell, but I tell you, being a medic is the best job in in freaking military, being able to go anywhere with anyone, anytime for any mission. I mean, everyone needs a medic, especially in a combat zone. So yeah, it was great. A lot of respect, and like from non-medics, like the people in your own leadership chain are always difficult on you. I mean, that's part of it. But yeah, and I don't know, going through it, the first deployment, I don't know. There was no fear. There was no fear. You know, it was Wild West, guns blazing, triggers free. Rules of engagement were basically non-existent. If you felt threatened in any form, you were basically justified to go with what was it? Red. I want to say green, but I can't remember. It's been a while. But basically, go hot and start lighting up your targets. And like we did H&I missions, harassment, intimidation missions, where we'd call in artillery fire, call in like 500-pound bombs. Like, dude, it was I turned 21 when I was in Iraq, and that was the best birthday I've ever had in my life. It was so exciting. So excited. Dude, we got mortared every fucking day. Every day. There's one day I counted, I was at Fob Stoddard in Samara, counted 36 mortar rounds in and around our forward operating base, our Fob. And over the period of the day, whenever there wasn't like anything active going on for the medic, like they usually cover down with commo. So I was radio operator too, on top of being a medic, and so I would hear everything that's going on. And our forward operating base was small, man. We had two buildings. One was the headquarters building. The other one was where all the tankers and stuff were, and then eventually artillery. And then there was a motor pool with all the tanks, all the Abrams tanks, and then eventually the Paladins, the big artillery when they moved in, and we just got rained on every day with like 82 millimeter mortars and like they weren't good, they weren't accurate. The people shooting these at us, like, they weren't accurate at all. So it was a freaking adrenaline rush the whole time. It was incredible.
This is my question though. You use a term like enemy. Has your like, in hindsight, looking back and knowing a little bit more about why we were there, has your definition of whether or not they were even an enemy changed?
Absolutely.
So explain that, because right now you're talking about it like it was the shit, but
right. I'm like glorifying it, and I shouldn't be glorifying it, but like I'm reporting my first deployment, the experience, and like how awesome it was to me at the time, and how fearless I was at the time.
You were young, you didn't know any better, but now, no. I mean, you and I are a year and a half apart. You're 38? Are you 38 now?
Not even. No.
You're not 38 yet? Okay, you're a 37-year-old man.
Yeah.
And looking back at all that, like, it shaped you and it changed you, and you are who you are, and the opportunities that you've had because of it were because of the choices you made. But what do you think about us considering them enemies now?
There's no enemy. I mean, the reality is that a lot of the people that were attacking us had no choice. Their family members were kidnapped and held ransom, or held at gunpoint, at death point, basically, until this other person in the family conducts an attack on American forces.
Is that really how it is?
Absolutely. That was how most of the attacks happened. Would be a lone gunman, a lone guy with an RPG, a lone guy laying an IED that somebody else built. And that's how they protected the organization from being found out. They'd have a bomb maker, and then they'd have a leadership hierarchy. But the people that were actually conducting the attacks were laymen, were just street people that they would kidnap their family and tell them, you need to go attack the Americans, or we're going to kill your entire family. And a lot of times these people would end up dead. It happened a lot. You attack us, or attack a Bradley fighting vehicle, an infantry fighting vehicle with a giant autocannon that's automated and has a targeting system on top, you're gonna get shot with that 25 millimeter round and exploded like every time, and they're never gonna miss. It's like you don't try to attack an American armored vehicle with a shoulder fired RPG that you've never used before. Like, but they don't have any choice. They're literally, their families like held captive, or like, they're caught up in some sort of scheme, or like, their business is going to get burned to the ground if they don't do this. And like these people, the people that carried out the attacks for the most part had no other choice but to do it.
What the fuck, dude?
Yeah. Welcome to reality. Like this, it's just, and that's power hierarchies. That's just what it's about. It's synonymous everywhere in the world. It's just using other people to do what you want them to do what benefits you.
Well, look at Amazon, and even like look at the fucking U.S. military. I mean, they have recruiters in fucking low income high schools saying, "Hey, you want college education? Sign your life away," and
people do it every day. Yeah. And it's, what? Hey, it's a great opportunity if people can survive it. It can make you a lot better. It can really help you, like it did me, give you direction, give you a stepping stool career wise, give you access to education that you wouldn't otherwise have, a health care that you wouldn't otherwise have. But is it worth it? And to me at the time, I had a very clear enemy, terrorists. They're bad people. We need to go get them. They got weapons. They got WMDs, and they took down our twin towers, and they tried to bring down our economic establishment. And we got to go seek revenge and fight a 15-year war. Plus, and I was all about it, man. I was all about it. Let's do this. Let's sign me up, man. Let's do this. After it happened, I left college. I was at Central when it happened, and like probably 2-3 weeks after 9/11, I dropped out of college, came back home. I'm like, okay, I need to get ready for this. I think I'm going to do this, and worked a little bit. And, I had a girlfriend at the time that, spent time with, and then signed up and left.
How far into it did you start to question the morality of the mission?
Okay, so that's a good question. I questioned a lot throughout all of it, but in specific, the morality of the mission, because I questioned my training, I questioned my drill sergeants, I questioned everyone. I was kind of a problem child. Go figure.
That's putting it lightly.
And but you know what? I soldiered real well. Like I outperformed a lot of people. I was cocky and headstrong, but like I soldiered hard. But regardless,
because I remember I was staying at mom's at the time, and before cellular technology was really advanced, we would have these calls from you. You would be in Iraq, and there would be these delayed calls where you would say something, but it wouldn't get there until way later. And then whatever I said, there would be a big long pause before you started talking again, because there was a huge delay. And I remember this as plain as fucking day. I don't remember what year it was, but I'm pretty sure you were on your second deployment. And you said to me, Neil, I don't know if we're the fucking good guys. You said that to me. And I was like, it like kind of broke my heart, Like, and I can't even imagine, like, as deep as you were into it, how that must have felt. Like, do you remember?
I remember my first tour. A large majority of my missions were guarding oil pumping stations, oil processing stations.
Maybe it was your first tour that you said that.
It was my first tour that I realized, like, there's more emphasis here on other things than what's really being purported, and but at the same time I was young, dumb, and the rest. And so I didn't question too much that first tour. Second tour, people started dying. More information started getting out about them not finding things, and like possible real reasoning and motive behind why we're there, and like Halliburton, KBR, all of that good stuff, Dick Cheney, and basically the military-industrial complex, profiteering, racketeering, so on and so forth, all at the expense of American lives. But I can't argue the fact that there is absolutely 100% a strategic benefit for us to be there, to be inserted in that region and have a reach in some form out in that region. Just as far from a geopolitical standpoint, is it right? Is it moral? What's happened? No. But very, very, very little things are in life. It's life inherently is dog eat dog. And the business world, it's the same. War and love, all is fair. You've heard it. And that's the reality. Is like people are inherently built to be, to operate advantageously to themselves, and like however they can benefit themselves, they're going to, even at the expense of someone else. And I'm not saying this is the same for all that all people act this way, but we all have this built-in tendency to do stuff like this. But you see the most powerful people in the world, and very, very clearly pulling the puppet string of major governments, and the way all of this stuff has unfolded, continues to unfold, and will unfold. And the motive behind, the true motives behind like what actually happens in this world are never outwardly known. Like they're typically pretty sinister from what I've seen, and it's disheartening. And some people might say, oh, Bobby, that's just because you got post-traumatic stress, you're depressed, you're just you have a negative outlook on life. And I say, no, I'm speaking from my real world experience. That I've watched people die. Like anybody is capable of taking that from someone else to better themselves or to save themselves. And it's we're 96% the same DNA as chimps. I don't know if that's completely true, but very close to apes and simians. And it's like, we think we're great, we think we're awesome, but we're not. We're all deeply flawed. And we would, I think most people would walk all over someone else to benefit themselves.
Yeah, that's a
they
good.
Might not admit it.
That's a good, loop back to what we initially were talking about.
Right.
Yeah, it's the same fucking thing.
It is, man. And it is. The reality is it's depressing because we've had this our entire, however many hundred of thousands of years we've been in existence. Last 25,000 years is like a civilized species, if you can call it that. Even today, I question us being considered civilized. I think we're extremely barbaric, even though we have a lot of technology. We've made a lot of progress, but there was kings and conquerors, slave masters, slavers. There was crusaders. There was assassins. You just go back in history, and that's the only story you hear, is that like the few control all of the power and torment the many. And it's like, how does that happen? How has that happened and continued to happen throughout our entire history, and even now today? It blows my mind. We all have so much power individually, but coming back to the war stuff, very clearly that questionable motive to be over there to do what we did. Pulling out, my second deployment in 2008 to 2009, we pulled out of town. We were just outside of Sadr City in Baghdad, my unit, and like I said, things were pretty calm. But we pulled back to main base in Baghdad. We didn't run missions anymore, and there weren't any missions run for apparently over a year. until all of a sudden just poof, like we pull everybody out. And talk about destabilization, man. Like you look at what happened with ISIS, and now Syria and everything that's continued to happen in Syria, and then like that us inserting ourselves, tearing everything down, propping it up, getting it stable, and then walking away. Effectively, it's our fault everything destabilized again. It's our fault that ISIS came about. It's our fault that everything happened in Syria the way it did and continues to. And like, it's crazy. It's crazy what we've done to that region. Like I feel terrible.
So
people out there, a lot of good people out there.
So what now? Like what the fuck now?
Now Russia's there, and we're still there a little bit, but just in a drone capacity. That's kind of our shtick, apparently. I'm not on any inner channels. I don't really know what the strategy, that the motive is nowadays. And even when I was in, like, I knew so little about what was really going on, and it's intentional. So it's hard for me to say, but
yeah,
it's just.
Is that why? Does this have any reason to do, like, I can't even fucking talk right now. I'm just thinking so much. The reason you're like disconnected from social media and you're not online and stuff, that is there do you not want to be informed? Like are you kind of just like, I'm gonna live in my bubble now, I'm gonna take care of my kid, I'm gonna work? Like where are you at now, basically?
No, I'm still like very, very keyed in to the world politics, the geopolitics, and to everything that's happening, and to how the entire fucking world is on fire right now. Absolutely, it still concerns me.
Does that exacerbate your anxiety or your depression? You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
Thinking about your firsthand involvement, and then seeing how things have played out over the years. I mean, it's been 12 years since that second deployment. That's a long fucking time. I can't believe 2008 was fucking 12 years ago. That blows my fucking mind. Whew.
Yeah, that's bonkers. But yeah, no, I'm still keyed in. But like, to answer your question about the social media stuff, like that was more just I saw a lot of vapidness, a lot of hollowness, a lot of people like really playing up everything about their lives, and just not in a truly representative way, like very fake and filled with consumerism, and then the negative aspect of it as well. Like I found social media at a certain point to just become poisonous and toxic. And it's not that I didn't want to know what was going on in the world. No, I for some reason, that's all I want to know is like, what's shaken down, and like, it's not like I can control anything, change anything. So I don't know why I care so much, but it's definitely something I'm interested in. The whole world. But yeah, no, it's just Facebook. I don't know, man. Facebook left a nasty taste in my mouth. I started, looking at myself in the mirror differently, and like, why don't you have all of this stuff? Why isn't your life this good? Why aren't you going on all these vacations? Why don't you have a camper? Why not? It's just so on and so forth, and all that shit that when it boils down to it in the real world, it doesn't matter. That stuff is not the stuff that matters.
Yeah.
And I put up my middle fingers, man. It's just like, I'm done with you. And like, I never got into Twitter, so hey, that one was easy. I had to do it for a job once, but I fucking hated it. But yeah, I just, I try to stay in the know. It's mostly what it's all about. Like, I don't want to be looking at other people's lives and like, comparing myself to other people, and like, I want to. This is my experience. This is my only shot. I get one life. It's not going to last forever. I don't know how much longer, but I want to be in it and experience it as it happens. I don't want to be looking into somebody else's life or through somebody else's lenses, when I have my own to look through and my own experiences. And like, it's very important to me to be appreciative of what I do have and not so concerned about what I don't have or what I think I should have or I need to have or that I think other people think I should have. Like that's that's the shit that boils, man. So that brings me back. I can't remember the guy's name. I think Jay Shetty. He's like a monk of sorts. Super interesting guy. Super insightful. Very mellow kind of affect and calming. And like, yeah, I like watching YouTube videos of him back in the day. But he said that we are not what we think we are. We are not what you think we are. We are what we think you think we are. Like, I am what I think that you think I am. So basically, what I think your perception of me is how I reflect myself in my own cognition. That it's not really, and it's kind of like,
yeah. Oh, that's heavy.
But it's truthful. Like, it's like we're so concerned about what other people perceive that quite literally we tear ourselves down because of it. And it's like that's social media in a nutshell. It's like the primest source for that quick click dopamine fix, and then also that bubble burst dopamine, exit and serotonin depletion, and then you're just like sad and depressed and miserable, and my life sucks, and like, so yeah, you go get a bunch of cocaine and hookers.
Well,
that fixes everything.
I feel like so much of the talks I have with my therapist, like when I am in therapy, it has to do with my perception of what people think I am and trying to get that validation from other humans, whether it's a pretty girl that I'm dating or whether or not it's likes on social media. But you removing yourself from that, yeah, I wouldn't even know how to do it because I'm promoting myself as a brand in a small business. And
right.
I'm trying to monetize my personality and my music and all that shit. And ultimately, what it really comes down to is I envy in a way that you're able to be disconnected from all of it, because I think it causes a lot more bad than good. I do find myself comparing myself to other people on the fucking reg and on the daily. And if it wasn't for my therapist, I would really not know the root cause of it. And she pushes so much to me, like giving myself, what's the word I just fucking used? My brain is not working today. Validation, self-validation. Wake up every morning and be grateful for what you have and know that you're doing well and you're doing the best that you can, and validate yourself before you go and compare yourself to anyone else. Before I turn my phone on or before I go on a fucking line, like every single day, I need to have a conversation with myself and be like, listen, you're doing great. You're doing the best that you possibly can be doing with what you have. You're working really hard. But it's weird. It's like, should you have to go through those mental gymnastics just to fucking look at your screen? I have to do that because if I don't, and that isn't right in the front of my fucking cortex, I will start comparing myself immediately to other people that have more followers, people that are doing more exciting things. Even in this Corona time where no one's doing shit, there's still people portraying their lives as this is my awesome Corona experience. This is the awesome fucking music video I made while on lockdown, like stuff like that. And it's like, what is the fucking point? If you can't love yourself and be proud of the things that you do. But I'm doing way better. I'm getting to the point where I'm just doing stuff because I got to do stuff. I'm doing this podcast right now, not because there's a bunch of fucking people watching. It's because I think this shit's interesting and it's nice. It's nice to have a conversation. All that shit that you just said about being over in Iraq, you've never told me. You've told me a minute bit of that. That's the most open you've ever been to me about this, and it's literally being broadcast on the internet right now, which is kind of ironic. But
go figure, right?
But no, I really appreciate you being so open and honest, because it's obviously very. I mean, it obviously is a painful thing, and it has affected you in a profound way. I mean, I don't know if you want to talk about PTSD at all, but if a loud boom goes off, what happens to you? Where do you go? Like during 4th of July, let's say 4th of July 2010.
Oh geez. 4th of July 2010, I was living in Canton, and I was in the basement the whole time. Like I couldn't be around booms, couldn't be around concussions, couldn't be around even bottle rockets. You know, if I didn't know they were coming, I would my heart would skip, I would instantly freeze, and I would instinctively want to hit the deck and, you know, get on the ground. And like the funny thing is like 2003, 2004 was crazy. It was guns hot, shit happening every day, stuff blowing up all around me. Not many people lost their life. Our unit got really lucky. But then this 2008, 2009 deployment, mostly calm, mostly chill. And then, you know, a series of a couple big booms like really close to me that really shook me to the core. And the juxtaposition is weird to me, but I mean, yeah, 2010 4th of July shit. I was pissed off, ready to punch someone, probably in the basement of my old house, trying to, you know, get high and play a video game to tune it all out. Nowadays though, it's been a minute, and like things are more manageable now. Like I still have these experiences. I still have like physical manifestations of fear, like pain, anxiety, like freezing, moments where I freeze, moments where I panic, and like I'm able to recognize them, and I'm able to kind of channel myself back to at least the semblance of normalcy. Like I look like I might not be struggling with something, and like that's kind of you know, the fake it till you make it kind of thing. It helps. But I've been through a lot of therapy. The best therapy was prolonged exposure to a few different events. But there was one event in particular that like I just had a lot of trouble working with, and really kind of blamed myself for. And prolonged exposure therapy, you know, makes you re-experience it over and over and over for hours and hours at a time. And so instead of running and avoiding, you know, those triggers, those sensations that make you go back to those moments, or make you feel the way that those moments made you feel, you know, it can really numb it. It can really lessen the impact. It makes you stronger. And it's fucked up is that like that's translated through in so many different forms through my life since I had that prolonged exposure. It's like in order to get through, you just got to keep moving forward. You got to keep moving through it. And if you have to keep moving through it repeatedly, and so be it. Because the other option is to run away from it. And like
move to California or something.
Like move to California, or like move out to the sticks on a 10-acre, you know, plot of land with a little farmhouse, to be away from other people because you're so fucking afraid of other people because of what you've seen them do. Like that's exactly what I did. I ran away. And yeah, dude, if it wasn't for that therapy and like learning to face your fears, face your demons, face the sensations, and instead of, you know, it's okay to be fearful, but yet still be brave and face them and go through it instead of avoid it. You avoid it, it's going to eat you up. It's going to continue to eat you up.
During that therapy, how would they simulate the event? Because you can't just recreate war. Like, how would the people doing the therapy simulate that shit?
That's the funny thing about it is PTSD is a recreation. Having PTSD and having all of those sensations come flooding back, and the fear and the anxiety and the panic, and then also the other side effects like the anger and aggression that also come because, you know, you think you're about to die. You think there's a bear chasing you in the woods when really it's a stuffed teddy bear, you know, like it's totally, it's what did they call it? They call it an unrealistic, well, anyway, I don't want to get into that. I probably will get it wrong, but basically the sensation is so real that it actually is happening. It actually is happening again. Like PTSD, and when you experience it, you ruminate on it, and in a way that kind of positively reinforces it to keep happening. It's a vicious cycle. I think I veered from the initial question though.
How would they trigger that during therapy? I'm just curious. Like, how did they? How do they
trigger it? You trigger it yourself. You trigger it yourself. It's like guided meditation where you go step by step through the events, through your memories, through these events play by play, over and over and over and over, and focusing on different details each time, and digging deeper and deeper and deeper into why, this is so traumatic that it stops you in the tracks when it surfaces. So yeah, you bring yourself back into it. You basically elicit more episodes going through prolonged exposure to lessen the effect of them, because they're never going to stop. Like, your body gets trained to react a certain way to certain stimulus, and it's a lot of times the stimulus is irrational. Like, the actual reality of it outside is completely irrational, but to the body, it is 100% rational. It is 100% real. And I call them adrenal episodes. Like, I can feel them when they happen. Like, if someone walks up behind me and like grabs me on the shoulder, it'll take me 3 to 5 seconds to be able to engage with that individual and focus with that individual, because I will go through a series of number 1, shock, number 2, fear, number 3, startle, and then like preparation for fight or flight. And a lot of times my instinct, I clench and I get ready to attack. And sometimes people see me do that and like they apologize. Most people don't perceive this stuff. And like, it can be really dangerous. If you startle someone with PTSD, like bad enough, they could swing on you and like completely not mean to, and like feel terrible after it happens. But nonetheless, you just got knocked the fuck out. And it's a real thing. It's a real thing. It's a completely normal response to a completely abnormal stimulus. That was the phrase. A normal response to an abnormal stimulus. Because you literally feel like there's a bear about to rip your fucking face off. Oof. It's like life or death. Like, and there's no like, different people suffer in different ways from it. But like, whatever it is you experience, there's no metering. It's like you go from 0 to like all the way there, like that. It's bonkers. And yeah, man. But like I said, I've learned a great deal about how to deal with it, how to cope with it, how to recognize it as it's happening, how to work through it, more efficiently, so people don't perceive it as often, because that's kind of the goal. It's like, you're never going to be better, but you got to find new normal. And that means dealing with your new oddities, the new quirks about you. And the good thing though, I mean, dude, I was snowed for years. They had me on so many different meds. I don't take any meds anymore.
Bro, that when you were having trouble with your marriage at one time and you moved back into mom's,
yeah.
That was, and I was hanging out with Carmel a lot. What year was that?
2015. Was that 15?
Yeah.
Maybe 16.
It was going into 2016.
Yeah.
Remember, because we had a Christmas and it was a rough Christmas. Yeah, they had you doped the fuck up, man.
I was snowed.
What does that mean?
Snowed means like they make you somnolent, like sleepy, like they completely debilitate you, like turn you into a zombie.
Like a lot of like benzodiazepine and stuff, like. Or were you on? Were you on tranks, or what were you on?
They had me on a bunch of. I had like four different medications I was taking, and 2 of them were like blood pressure medications that had an anxiolytic side effect, which means it like decreased symptoms of anxiety as a side effect. So they gave that to me, But then it bottomed out my blood pressure, and I started to get clots in my lungs. it was so I got sick from all of these meds I was on. But yeah, but now like I ever since I started just turning towards my problem instead of running away from them, essentially, including that legal issues and stuff like that, the divorce and PTSD and work and you name it. I don't need meds anymore, man. Like I meditate, I exercise, I try to sleep well, I try to eat well, and like I'm not on a single antidepressant anymore. I'm not.
Camera cut out.
Yeah.
Cammy. There you go.
Yeah, I mean it's like I don't know. It's like the holistic path. Like if it could get me to a place of where I could operate like a normal person in society without chemicals, like I think it could for anyone. Like it's fucking incredible. Yeah, just those four things, like eating right, exercising, meditating, and sleeping well. That's it. Who knew it was that easy?
My sleep sucks lately, dude.
That's not good.
Yeah, but I do all the other things. And
Yeah.
my only vices are a little bit of cannabis before bed and a lot bit of caffeine throughout the day. But it's a lot for me. I cap it at 300 milligrams. I don't go, which isn't a lot for a lot of people, but it's a lot for me because I'm an anxious dude.
Yeah.
So even 100 milligrams in the morning gets, I'm sweaty, fucking blood pressure is probably a little raised, and I'm, breathing heavy, and then I do the exercise thing, and then it wears off, and I need more. So it's just like, yeah. I did 150 milligrams right before we started talking.
Okay.
I think I might have to go number 2 at some point.
Yeah, that happens.
It does happen.
Every day, sometimes a couple times a day. Yeah.
When you turn
High fiber.
when you turn this on, it makes a noise, and when you turn it off, it does too.
Interesting.
Yeah, dude. Do you ever think, like, it's a miracle that you and I mean, we've led completely different lives. Like, you enlisted in the military, you were a fucking soldier, you lived in Texas, you did 2 deployments to Iraq, you've been shot at, you've fucking gotten crazy car accidents. And me, on the other hand, I, like, put myself in a fucking metal box and drove around the country for 10 years, dodging semis and, getting in some accidents, but sleeping on people's floors and just drinking to the point of blackout like 4 nights out of the week for a good period of 5-6 years. Do you ever think, like, I'm so fucking lucky to be alive?
Every day. It's a gift, man. Yeah. I can't even tell you how many times, how many close calls, and how many just like serendipities. Yeah, it's we're extremely lucky. Trying to make the best of it. Got to.
And not only are we still alive, but we're on this fucking bullet path to fucking middle age. Like, we're fucking. And all the shit that we talked about when we first started this podcast, all this, like, oh, remember this, and doing Nitrous and all this stuff. Like, those memories are so vivid to this day. Like, all of those teenage formative years where I was, like, started playing in a band with Greg Schmidt, and we were, just tooling around Northville and getting drunk in Christine Gould's fucking basement watching Happy Gilmore. Like, that shit in my brain, it was like yesterday, but it also seems like 100 fucking years ago. Everyone we know, including yourself, their fucking parents, they have careers, they're living their best lives and just moving into fucking middle age. And for a second, we were the cool kids, and we were brash, and we didn't fucking take no shit. And we also were pretty, like you were saying, like we were naive and stupid and young and rolling the dice. And now we're fucking like grown ass men. I'm still a kid in like a million ways. I've avoided. I mean, dude, like in all honesty, the first lease I've ever signed a lease is where I'm sitting right now. It took me until 38 years of age. No, 30, 39, 39. When did I turn 39? February of 2020. Yeah. I was 38 years old when I signed my first lease to rent an apartment. I literally haven't had a home, unless you want to count mom's house. I've just been sleeping on people's floors and sleeping with whatever girl I'm dating at the time. And just a complete nomad, scummy fuck. And dude, like, I'm going to be 40. What the fuck? Dude. Like, what the fuck?
TikTok, man. It's funny because time does speed up. Like,
oh yeah, the last 10 years.
Each year is faster, and it can actually be proven mathematically. So, like, if you take your first year of life, right? That's 100% of your life.
Yeah.
The second year of your life. The first year was 100%. The second year is 50%. The third year of your life is 1/3 is 33%. So each year is collectively a smaller percentage of your entire lifespan. Therefore, each year time moves faster. Your perceived time in life, it does speed up as you get older, because each year, as they stack on each other, it's like a greater period. And it's interesting to think about it in that way, like mathematically, yes, time speeds up. Like our perception of time speeds up as we age, and now it's literally, it's like, wait, it's your birthday again? Wasn't it just your birthday? Oh, I guess that was a year ago. Like, and inevitably the whole count is just, the TikTok race to you're done, and nobody knows when they're gonna die. But we're all gonna die. If you think you're not gonna die, sorry, I got news for you.
I'm gonna live forever.
With my high level income, it's foreseeable that I could live to at least about 250 years. That was Talladega Nights. But no,
sorry.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
You're getting old. And I ache, man. My bones ache. My body hurts all the time. Sucks.
Oh, and that's the thing too, is like, you and I are so close in age, and we're essentially composed of the same genetics. Like, we had the same parents. We're like relatively close in height. We have the same fucking bone structure. Like, you're the closest thing to like a genetic clone that I have on this planet. So it's funny, like, when I talk to you, it's just like, it's like, let me talk to this guy that has essentially the same penis as me, and let's fucking go into detail about what our respective penises are doing, or what, like, like, I'm having these knee issues, or my back. I have a more fucked up back than you, but you got more fucked up knees than me. But yeah, it's getting to the point where Allie's starting to crackle, and she's starting to make a bunch of noises, and she's starting to be like, wow, my hip's sore, or oh, I slept funny, and I'm like, just you wait. Give another fucking 10 years. Welcome to being 30 plus. It's gonna fucking hurt. And then I remember when I started complaining about my back, I had a dude that was in his 40s, and my back started getting fucked up in around 2013. And he's like, dude, he's like, so what did the doctor tell you? I'm like, my discs are degenerating. He's like, all of our discs are degenerating. Our fucking entire bodies are degenerating every single day. Join the club. And I'm just like, and I'm like, oh, so it's not something fucking terrible that I need to remedy through surgery. He's like, no. He's like, lift some fucking weights. And I'm like, and then, yeah, a lot of the human beings that are aging the most gracefully are the ones that stay just as mobile as they did in their 20s. I mean, they might not have the endurance or the fucking muscular structure or the speed that they had when they were in their 20s, but they keep moving, and I think that keeps the body oiled up in a way. You know, I'm not gonna power lift. I'm not gonna go fucking put 3 plates and deadlift. My back just doesn't want that to happen anymore. I'm not gonna squat fucking 400 pounds anymore. I'm not fucking 18 and invincible. But you know, there's a thing called yoga. There's body weight stuff. You know, like that. I just want to age gracefully. Like when I quit drinking, I'm just like I just want to fucking age gracefully. I don't want to be dead before 30. And now I'm fucking. It's been almost 12 years. How long has it been since I quit drinking in 08? So in November of this year, it'll be 12 fucking years since I had a drop of alcohol.
Good for you, man.
That shit is just bad news for me.
Right.
Because once the inhibitions go with me, like I already possess very little inhibitions, stone cold sober. Like I can get up on stage in front of a bunch of people and tell them what my testicles look like. I don't give a fuck. It's just I'm a human being, whatever. Like who cares? Who cares?
Yeah, ultimately, yeah.
Who cares? But when you put alcohol into the mix and that inhibition was lowered even more, and then it got to the point where I would just do impulsive things that were like, I don't know, should you be tackling this homeless guy? Should you be trying to wrestle this dude that you just met at a bar in front of the entire fucking security staff? Should you be hoisting your friend on your shoulders and spinning him around, in the mosh pit? Because you might tear your ACL, and that actually happened. I had a mild tear in my ACL because I decided while blacked out that I was going to throw Noah on my shoulders and fucking spin him around.
Sounds like a good idea.
Well, and that's the thing. That's me and booze. These are the good ideas I have when I'm fucking blacked out. Yeah, I'm going to I just become this this impulsive fucking moron, and I can't put a stop to it. People are like, why don't you just have a few drinks? Just like, dude, if I have a few drinks, something lights up in my head, and it's like, why don't you have 20 drinks? Why don't you drink until there's no alcohol left where you are at the party, at your house? Why not just turn it all off? Why don't you just literally completely turn off your brain? And then you wake up the next day and all the anxiety sets in and the regret and the shame of all the fucking stupid shit you did, and then you don't even know what you did. You have to ask your friends what you did, and then the shame of hearing the stories of how unhinged you were and how you made people uncomfortable and how fucking, you got kicked out of places. You weren't allowed back into places, You get kicked off fucking big tours that your band worked fucking a decade to become a part of. Like, we got kicked off Warped Tour during a blackout. Like, we were booted from Warped Tour during a blackout. Like, I was blacked out. And then we had the Redemption concert, and they wrote up the band in Real Detroit Weekly and said this band was so dangerous they got kicked off Warped Tour. And instead of like playing the best show I ever played, I got fucking blacked out on stage and I forgot how to play the guitar in front of 300 people. And Mom was there, bro.
I think I might have been at that show.
Dude, Mom was there. She said, I had to leave. I am so disgusted with you. And
is that in Detroit?
Oh yeah, at the Magic Stick.
Yeah, I think I was there. Yeah, I was there. I remember that show.
Yeah. Yeah. Why don't you just have a few drinks, Neil?
You know what though, dude? The important part is the fact that you're off the sauce. That it has been 12 years. That you identified that, like, hey, this shit makes me act like a fucking caveman. And all the worst ways, and like I probably shouldn't do it anymore. And you actually stuck to your guns. Like a lot of people don't have that willpower to be able to like put something to the side and never go back again. And especially in an environment that's like freaking inundated with the shit, like alcohol's everywhere. It's everywhere in our entire country, our culture. And like, it's funny that it is the legal substance. And like, granted, weed's now legal else, in pockets, in different, different areas. But
Here it's recreational,
Right.
out there
and
too.
Same in Michigan, but there are a lot of places it's still illegal. It's still a controlled substance. You can still go to jail, and
like Missouri, and
sent to a federal prosecutor if your quantity is over an ounce, and so on and so forth. But
I just got popped in Salt Lake, fucking what the fuck is that state? Utah, in 2018. Get this, I got a possession charge for a CBD product that had 0.5 milligrams, a microscopic amount, 0.5 milligrams per serving of THC, and the cop like fucking circled on the packaging and then pointed as like THC, and I'm just like, you have nothing fucking better to do than to roll some fucking band on tour. But anyway.
That's ridiculous. But that just goes to show the absurdity of the situation, because alcohol has ruined more lives, has ended more lives, and has caused more health problems and more socioeconomic problems than any other substance in the history of civilization. But yet it is the legal, plentiful, and sought after option, the popular option, the cool option, the option that advertisement is allowed to point us to. Tobacco was the same way, but now we're not allowed to be adverted to by tobacco companies, and which is great, because tobacco is inherently terrible too. But you got to be kidding me. Like, so Utah, it's okay to get completely smashed as long as you're not drinking and driving. And
it's hard to get smashed in Utah. It's hard to get smashed too, because all of their alcohol is like 3.5%, like all of their beers and shit.
Right.
Because it's it's a religiously oppressive state.
Right. That's like Mormon capital, right?
Oh yeah, you can fucking. Do they do polygamy? Do Mormons do polygamy?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I was about to be like, oh, you can have fucking 8 wives, but you can't fucking smoke weed. But I don't know if that's true. I'm just a dude.
Hey, trade-offs, right?
Yeah. Oh, hey, let me take a piss real quick, but we have to talk about, and I don't remember this happening, but we have to talk about when we got abducted by aliens. No, seriously, because I tell people all the time, I'm like, my brother is thoroughly convinced that he and I were abducted by aliens while I was.
Absolutely.
But this is the thing, is I don't remember anything.
No, and you're the one with the goddamn photographic memory, apparently, but yet you don't fucking remember this. And I remember like so vividly, and like I don't know.
Let me take a piss. Let me take a piss, because when I tell people the story, I don't remember your version of the story. I'm just like, well, my brother thinks that we were abducted by aliens, and I don't remember shit. So this will help me in paraphrasing your recollection of whatever events may have occurred. So give me a sec. I gotta piss real bad. 1 sec.
Yeah, do your thing. I'm gonna get a coffee. Be right back.
We're live, so you could say something.
Hi.
Sing them a song.
Oh.
Just gonna let me do it again.
Yeah.
Be right back.
Yeah. I don't know how Joe Rogan goes for fucking like 3-4 hours without having to take a piss. That's insane to me.
That dude is disciplined, man.
Well, I don't know. I drink a lot of. I mean, he probably drinks a lot of water too.
I'm convinced he's like either like bionic or I don't know, something. That dude seems incredible.
He's on that TRT, man.
What's that?
Testosterone replacement therapy. I guess when you get to be about our age, your testosterone starts dropping by the year. And so you and I should totally fucking start injecting test into our bloodstream.
I don't think I want to do that.
Well, bro,
I already, have challenges with anger, and yeah, I hear that a shot of tea will make you more angry.
what, you don't think like with all your issues, just like adding a fucking a hyper amount of testosterone in your bloodstream will just like make it all fucking cool?
And maybe it will.
Don't knock it till you try it, bro.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I don't know if I could do that. That's I don't know. Anyway.
Don't knock it till you try it, bro. Okay, so aliens. Anyway, okay, so we were around the age where I at least had a driver's license, correct? We were at the Lexington house because I had access to a vehicle, correct?
Yes, and actually, I think I was of driving age as well, because I vaguely remember that I was the one doing the driving, but vaguely, it's tough. So I guess it's not that vivid of a dream.
Okay, so you have this vivid recollection of us getting abducted by aliens, but it's not that vivid.
So no, I mean there are aspects of it that are extremely vivid that I remember very clearly.
Okay.
So I could kind of run through it. I'm just trying.
I just want to know because like when I tell people, I want to know what actually happened because I'm just like, well, I guess we're like driving by our old middle school up Taft off of 8 Mile, and there was some lights, and apparently we like woke up in the family room of our house and didn't know how we got there. Like that's all I remember of the story you used to tell me.
Yeah, so my memory is that we're hanging out, right? And for some reason we had to go for a quick car ride. I think it was to pick up some weed. I think we were going to Greg's house. So we were shooting north on Taft from 8 Mile, and all of a sudden there was kind of like the typical starship with like hexagonal undercarriage lights. It just kind of zips across, right?
You saw this.
And yeah, we both saw it, bro.
Okay, you saw this because I don't remember seeing this.
So, but I'm telling you my memory though.
Okay.
My memory is that we both saw this. We both pulled off on the side of the road, right where that there's a little baseball field there across from Cook, and there's like a little like dirt parking lot right there on the opposite side of Taft from Cook.
That's where Eric Merrill threw me down on the ground. Is that little dirt behind those trees?
Yeah, he got me there too. Yeah.
That's where the bullies would wait for us to walk by, and then they'd beat us up.
Yeah, because they could hide behind the trees and the school wouldn't be able to see.
Correct.
And they'd be able to surprise us. Yeah, that was fantastic. I remember that. But yeah, so that's where we stop. We pull off. We get out of the car. We're looking. You keep saying like we gotta go, and I'm like just dude, just hold on a minute. Did we just fucking see what I think we saw? And you were like kind of like freaking like I don't know, man. We gotta go. And then all of a sudden, it like came back, and like snap of a finger, I wake up on the couch in the family room. You're on the recliner, TV's still going. When we left to go to Greg's, it was like 9:30, 9:45 at night. It was now 2:00 in the morning. So there's a period of time there that's just kind of lost, just gone. And so I remember though, this thing just freaking came back and intense light on us as we were outside of the vehicle. And then like all of a sudden, boom, I jolt up and I'm looking around and TV, you in the recliner passed out. And like literally 5 seconds after I jolt up, you jolt up. So like, and we both looked at each other and we were both like just kind of like, what's going on? Like, kind of out of it and like kind of dazed and like kind of like not really sure. Like, okay, did we both just like pass out and wake up at the exact same time, like right next to each other? Like it was really weird. The thing that makes me that makes me think, and granted, you know, a bunch of people have had like abduction stories and stuff that's more detailed than what I got. And like, but hey, I remember it fucking vividly. I remember where we were, what we were doing. I remember which direction it was going, how it came back after we got out of the vehicle. And I remember we both woke up at the exact same time. And a couple of years after that, I was in basic training and I started getting these recurring headaches. And one night I remember I was in the top bunk in the barracks, and I remember like a piercing sound that like wouldn't go away, and like in while I was asleep, and I remember like screaming at whomever, whatever, like get out of my head, and then I sat up, and it was the exact same feeling, the sitting up and like looking around. It was the exact same feeling we had that night, or that I had that night that I remember, and like so I don't know.
I don't remember any of this shit.
Which blows my mind. Like I you remember everything, and like, but that makes me think that here we go.
Like I remember shit Kevin Holdridge said to me on the fucking playground at Moraine Elementary School. I remember like trying to convince Rachel Coster to date me in 5th grade because she ate chapstick, and I said, "You're weird. I'm weird. Why don't we go steady?" Like, I remember all of this shit, but I do not remember driving north on Taft with you, seeing a bunch of fucking lights, pulling the car over, and then the lights coming back, and then waking up in our parents' fucking family room. I would always pass out on that couch because it was really that reclining chair. That's Dad's chair. That was the fucking, this is my kingdom, this is my dad chair. But I would always pass out on that. We would have parties and I would get loaded and pass out on that while watching the Goonies and shit. You know? But I don't remember any of that shit at all. It's a story that you tell me. Crazy.
I don't know what to say, man. I remember it. Like I have a very strong emotional reaction when I think about it. For some reason, I have this gut instinct that my experience in basic is linked to my memory from that night. And if it happened or not, I don't know. But like, look, man, I mean, the more we look into space, the bigger we realize it is, the older we realize it is. Like, for there to not be something else out there, it would be very, very low chance. And
I believe. I mean, especially like Neil deGrasse Tyson will say similar things that you just said. Is like the expansiveness of it all. Like our minds can't even conceptualize how big it is. Like you can throw numbers around, but it doesn't compute. So.
Right.
So, yeah, are we the only intelligent creatures in this entire universe? Of course not. And
right.
But why would they scoop us up in Northville, Michigan, driving, by the old middle school we used to go to? And if I have such a good memory, because I have a fucking airtight memory, it's waning a little bit because the older I get, the more stupid I'm getting. It's happened a couple times on this podcast. I'm just like, what word was I thinking of? There's just farts. It farts now. But I remember all types of shit, even from when I was very, very young. I remember vivid details about all of it. I don't remember a goddamn thing about any of this shit ever happening Not at all. It's
I don't know. I don't know what to say. I do. You were there.
it wasn't a dream.
It doesn't feel like a dream to me.
Yeah.
But I've also dabbled in psychedelics, and I've come to realize that the fabric of what we perceive reality to be is more than likely not even reality, but a projection, or just just our perception that there's a lot more going on. So maybe it was a dream, maybe it was an out of body, maybe it was some sort of spiritual encounter than it was an actual physical encounter. Maybe it's just an overactive imagination. I don't know, but I feels real to me when I think about it.
Bro.
I have now become that guy. Yes.
You are that guy, yeah.
I got abducted and prodded.
I'm that guy too. I don't know, like I believe I don't want to believe. I'm pretty convinced that there's shit like Bigfoot, aliens, stuff that we don't have the answers to, you know? But that story that always, I remember I was in Virginia Beach and I was on tour and I was hanging out with this girl and I remember telling her, and I was doing a lot of handstands in the sand at the time. I was like trying to get a good yoga handstand down, so I was practicing a lot. And I remember telling her about how you were thoroughly convinced that we were abducted by aliens that night. And I just don't have any recollection. So to hear the story again, what does it all mean, you know?
I don't know.
What does any of it mean?
It's a good question. I don't know. If it was real and, it actually happened, then why would it happen?
Oops.
I'm coming back. Or if it wasn't real and, it was just an imagination or it was just like a subconscious projection, then what could the interpretation of that be? Like, why would I think that, I got abducted and prodded and or that I remember something that, damn it, something that you don't remember.
Right now, the aliens are throwing your phone to make sure that no more information gets leaked. They're like, we can't have this motherfucker keep talking about this. Let's fuck with his gravity.
Yeah. Well. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know what it all means, and that's the thing about life is we're not supposed to know. Everyone wants to know, and but that's the whole point. Is you don't know the whys behind the whats, and who knows if you do when you die? Who knows if there's another side or not? And a lot of people can't wrap their heads around the possibility of there not being something, because then what's the purpose of this? And why does there have to be a purpose? There might not be a purpose. But maybe there is a purpose, and maybe we'll find it out when we get to the other side, if there is another side. And it's but that's the beauty, man. It's we don't know. We don't know shit. We think we know. We think we understand science. We think we understand time. We think we understand people. We think we understand the universe. We don't know shit, and we're we're not going to on purpose. What if this is the Matrix? What if it all is a projection? A hologram, a construct, a program. And it's just so good that because this is all that we've perceived and this is what we continue to perceive. This has become our reality, even if it's not truly our reality. And who knows? And wouldn't it be funny? Some video games at the end of it, it's there's a little kid there and it turns out it's just a little kid, with a magnifying glass. That's the whole point. It's just curiosity. The whole point of existence is that there's something else that's just curious. What are they going to do? Or what is going to happen? How are things going to unfold? Shoot. Or let's go nihilistic, man. There's no point to nothing. There's no point to you and me talking. There's no point to anyone trying to do anything because everything is going to end everywhere anyway.
Bro, this means something. This is important. Right? No.
I don't know. Maybe.
Well, it's important to me, and I think that a lot of it has to do with your perception of what is important to you. And I think if there is no meaning, and if nothing fucking matters, then you determine what has worth and what matters. And I've determined through my journey that what matters to me is making things and sharing them and projecting who I think I am out there, and just, I don't know. It's not important to anyone but me, and maybe a few people that enjoy it, but I don't know. Like you and I talking here, and you sharing your life with me, and with anyone that's listening to me, that there's a level of importance to that, but it's all subjective, you know? Like, I think it's important because I love you, but that's because you're my blood relative, and I care about your well-being because we're fucking linked biologically. And, you know, I watched you grow up. You were a little shit, and I was just a slightly older shit. And now we're fucking some grown-ass shits. And it's starting to get a little gray and flaky on the outside of our shit form, and pretty soon, like, we're gonna be decomposed shit that ceases to exist. So yeah, it's all perceived importance, and I guess it only matters to those who are perceiving, even if it's just a simulation. Like right now in the simulation, I'm having an engaging discussion with someone I care about, and ultimately, universally speaking, it doesn't mean a goddamn thing. But
at the same time, it could mean everything.
I'm having a pretty good time.
Likewise, man. Me too, man. I feel, and we've said that for years. Like, you know, whenever we get together, like, because we're so close, like biologically, genetically, and also experientially, like we shared a lot of the same.
Is that a word?
Same food, same space. Like, we've exchanged molecules, and, like, you know, you are a part of me, I am a part of you. And it does. It feels good. It feels good. And maybe that's the reason. That's the whole point. Is, like, you know, you get it figured out. It's that because you can buy into the bullshit, and you can live a miserable existence, and you can be so focused on work and driving, making money, and just going, that you live an absolutely horrible and pitiful and miserable existence. Or you could choose to enjoy it. And, like, whatever that means, it's different for everyone. But, like, maybe that is the point. It's like fun, love, but love through love, man. Like, spreading love and, like, feeling love and giving love. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I got there's a little piece of paper that I got right up here. My therapist has been driving it into me that gratitude and love are the highest vibrations, and if you connect every day with gratitude and love, that you will vibrate higher. I don't know what the meaning of the vibrations is, but apparently if you're vibrating higher, you attract more positive things. You know, it's kind of hippy dippy. I don't know if I necessarily, you know, will live and die by this saying, but it seems to be working because like when I started therapy again and started really practicing gratitude and being grateful for all, because we're lucky. You and I are both lucky. Just the way we were shat out of the womb. We were privy to a lot of things just by the dice was rolled, and we got we rolled a 12, bro. Like, you know? So, like, to lose sight of that, I think, and to, like, constantly be, like, what we were talking about before, comparing yourself to other people and getting down on yourself because I don't have this or I don't have that or this person has a seemingly better life on paper or social media than I do. I feel like that could only warrant negativity to be negative, you know? To be negative all the time. And so I'm trying it out. And maybe it's just a bunch of bullshit and she's full of shit. But I feel like since I started really kind of connecting with this daily gratitude, my life is, I feel like good things are gravitating towards me a little bit more. Like I feel like I've been rewarding in the physical realm because I've been connecting with something that's not necessarily physical. And
it's because you're opening yourself up. Open yourself up to other people, to the world, to the outside, to being vulnerable. Because like that gratitude, like the whole base of gratitude, of saying thank you, in order to actually mean that, when you say it, it means that you're accepting the fact that you needed help. You're admitting that you needed help, that you're vulnerable, that you couldn't do it alone. And so giving thanks, giving gratitude, saying thank you to someone is admitting that you're imperfect, and it's being vulnerable, it's being open. And like that, I do that every morning. I have different lines of gratitude that I say every morning, and from like basic things like thank you for my breath, thank you for my food, thank you for my health, for my warmth, thank you for allowing me to be able to speak, to say thank you, or to have comprehension, to be able to understand what thank you means. And you know, it's key. It's key, like, because we're all human, we're all vulnerable, we're all weak, we all require help. Nobody can do this alone, but yet everybody, and I keep just generalizing, but a lot of people think they can do it on their own. And those people who think that it's just granted that they can do it on their own, they have a lack of propensity to say thank you, to give gratitude. And then they become selfish, they become narcissistic, self-centered, like it's an expectation. These things should be coming to me. You know, these good things should be happening to me because I'm inherently better. But saying thank you is admitting that you're not. It's admitting that you're weak and that you need help. And that's the realities that we all do. We all could use it. We can all benefit from it. And you know, for a long time, I didn't say thank you. I didn't like saying thank you because for whatever reason, saying thank you, giving gratitude felt like inheriting guilt. Like, oh, you did something for me. For whatever the reason, I didn't ask you for that. And now in a way, I feel like I owe you. So I feel like you did me a solid where I couldn't return the favor. And therefore now I experience guilt. Like I'm not good enough. Or you know, from the trauma bonding aspect of our relationship with our father, you know, that we don't deserve it. So why did you give me something? I feel so bad saying thank you because I know deep down inside, I don't deserve what you just gave me. And it hurts to say thank you because I want to feel like I deserve it. But I feel like I don't. It's interesting. See, so doing that, like the daily gratitude and saying thank you and actually like making eye contact, actually meaning it. And actually the act of putting your hands together and like bowing to someone, like it can be the most freeing experience of your life to actually admit your weakness and take that time to give love to that person that gave you aid. Like, and a lot of people can't say thank you. They have trouble, or they say it like just thanks. Yeah, thanks.
So when the pandemic started, I didn't get any unemployment, and I was completely fucked. And all the gigs dried up, like all of my gigs with the Reagan Youth and my gigs with HR. And then I started doing the streaming shit. And so much of the streaming, like world, is based on donations.
Right.
And pretty much I was in need of help. Like that help that you were talking about, like when you're saying thank you, you're acknowledging that you're in a position where you need to be helped. And if it wasn't for the generosity of the people that tuned in to all the bullshit that I do online, whether it's like me singing stupid songs or having a podcast or whatever, I mean, someone donated $20. Just you and I are just sitting here fucking talking to each other, and someone just gave me $20. I mean, I've said in the last fucking 4 months, I've said thank you so many goddamn times to sometimes complete strangers on the internet. But it's like, dude, if it weren't for their generosity, I wouldn't I wouldn't be sitting here right now. We would have had to break our lease. We would have had to go back to Michigan. Like, and we wouldn't have had a choice. We would have had to straight up. But this shit saved my fucking life, and I'm eternally grateful for. I can't even believe that you could get on the internet and like fucking talk or play a guitar, and people can literally pay you directly just for being an idiot on the internet. It blows my fucking mind. I didn't even think it was possible. My whole business model was get in a van, set up all your shit on a stage where people pay to get in, and then they buy your t-shirt. And that's how you get by. And now it's like, wait a minute, I could fucking plug my guitar in and like say stupid shit, and people will fucking support me directly. Like, are you kidding me? Yeah. That's only one of the things I'm grateful for. I mean, but like you said, just like, dude, I have a really nice girlfriend. We have a cute little cat. We have our own space. It's super expensive. We might not stay here forever. It's too expensive out here. But dude, yeah. How insane would it be if you couldn't recognize how? If I was like afraid to say thank you during all of this, when literally people's generosity have been like the only thing that has led me to survive through this pandemic. You know what I mean? I'm more grateful than I think I've ever been. It's because I'm starting to really realize A, how lucky I am, and B, how fucking nice people are. It's insane.
There's good people out there, absolutely, and a lot of it is because you bring value, you bring insight, you bring entertainment, you bring a realistic, a realistic representation of the world, because the reality is the world's tough, and life is tough, and it's nothing but a series of stress tests and upsets and letdowns, and and we all need something to tune into. We all need something to turn to. We all need someone to believe in. We all need someone to help get our mind off of things. But at the same time, we want somebody or some persons to be able to relate to, as far as, experiencing the same troubles, the same struggles in life. And man, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing that technology is where it's at. That nowadays you can do something like this, and in a way that the respect and appreciation for the non-mainstream can still persist. Because it's really, I see, like, the entertainment industry. It's, you got like a handful, like maybe a dozen people to pick from, and like they get 99% of the attention.
It's different now. There's
right.
Yeah, it's like the internet has completely leveled the landscape, because there's a thing called Patreon. I don't know if you know what Patreon is, but you essentially could sign up for a monthly subscription to support small creators that you enjoy, and that shit didn't exist fucking a handful of years ago. But now every single person who's a creative person has one of these things, and it's like a way for these people to fucking get by, because the way all of this entertainment shit is monetized, or the pay structure of all of it, the way it's set up, whether it's streaming, on Spotify or whatever, you have to get a fuckload of plays to get a decent paycheck from that stuff. And no one buys fucking CDs anymore. You could sell your T-shirts online. That's been a thing forever. But there's the profit margin isn't that big, and you have to ship stuff. So this direct creator support kind of business model that exists now, it's like, it literally has changed the fucking game for anyone at a small level like myself. Like dude, I got laid off from my job at the end of 2019, and I haven't had to get another job. By some fucking miracle.
It's awesome,
dude. And
it's awesome.
And the craziest part about all of it is that it took a fucking global pandemic for me to throw away the old business model. to be like, dude, I don't need to be a 40-year-old guy sleeping on people's floors playing fucking in front of 10 people every night. Like, I can pivot and find a way to still be me, and I might be able to survive. And it was just like, and none of this would have ever happened if and I'm not here to say the pandemic is a good thing, because we all know that this is a fucking really terrible time for a lot of people, but it made me fucking pivot in a way that I've never been forced to, because I was holding on to this fucking business model, which is like drive around, play shows.
Right.
That's gone. It's gone. And it might not come back until 2022. And even if it does come back, it might be this weird social distance shit. Like rock concerts as we know it, shit's gone. It's gone.
Right.
And a lot of people are lamenting about, oh, you know, my life has no meaning now. Or like, I wish, when's this going to come back? But honestly, bro, and I talked to my friend about this a couple weeks ago on the podcast. She's like, don't you just miss playing shows? And it's like, dude, I lived out of a van for over a decade. I've been arrested. I've almost died. I've slept on all these floors. My body hurts, dude. Do I miss it? I miss being on stage. I miss having an audience. But all the driving and all of the the lack of comfort and all of that doubt and all of that work for nothing, do I miss that?
Hell no.
I don't know, man. I kind of want to fucking double down on this internet shit and just make fucking silly YouTube videos and stream.
Right.
I'm kind of over the van life, dude. I had this really nice van that I bought 4 years ago. And I'm just like, do I want to live in this thing anymore? Not really. I kind of did that for a long time. Since 2007. So that's 13 years of vanning it. I'm just, and maybe this is just, I'm just burnt out and jaded and old and tired, and that's why I'm like, this is so great. I can just be an idiot in my bedroom instead of driving around the country. Like maybe it's just that side of me speaking, or maybe, I'm just fucking over it. I don't know. My brain's so melted right now.
Well, I think it's wonderful that you have the outlet, and I think it's also wonderful that you're looking at the positive side of the fact that you're not living that lifestyle anymore, because it's a rugged lifestyle. It's taking a toll. And the few weeks that I've been on the road with you over the years, like I hated it. Like I mean, sleeping in a van or like a scummy motel, like I don't know. Like I am cushy, North American, middle class, and like I'm used to sitting on comfortable couches and sleeping in comfortable beds, and like and granted, like I had that army time where I had to freaking bivouac and sleep outdoors, and like I slept out of an armored vehicle for a number of months, and like but dude, fuck that lifestyle. Like, great to be a rock star, like to have that feeling, like to be up on stage in front of people, like it's amazing, and it's addicting, and it's exhilarating, and it's rewarding, but it's painful.
I think ultimately I was just too stubborn to accept that it wasn't working, and I think that was the main thing. That when the pandemic happened, it's like I had to look at it head on and address hey, that shit wasn't working. It wasn't working. Like every once in a while it'd be pretty dope. Every once in a while, like we'd be on tour with a big name act. They'd feed us steaks in the green room. When in 2019, when I was doing all those shows with HR from Bad Brains, I was backing up a legend. Like that shit was amazing. But in 2018, when we did 30 shows where we were the headliner and no one showed up, that shit, especially after being in this band for fucking 16 years at the time, 16 or 17 years of work, equating like very poor attendance not a lot of interest in what we were doing. I had one promoter tell me this is the worst show I've ever done in all my years of being a promoter. This is the most poorly attended show I've ever done. Like, and he said that to my face as he was paying us our guarantee. Because, yeah, like, what do you say to that? You know? And how do you not internalize that? Like, it must have been, because it isn't like I don't know. Was it my fault? But so much.
He's the fucking promoter. He was the one that's supposed to be advertising it and shit, right?
Well, but this is what it comes down to. The reality is you have a value as an artist, and if you have a low value, and if you are obscure, and if what you do is weird, and if you don't have a fan base, you're not of any value to the promoter. So I was in this position where, like, I have value to myself, and I feel like everything I do has value because I'm pouring my heart and soul into it. But then you take all of that value that you have, it like that you consider, like, I'm valuable. Like, there is value to this art that I painstakingly created. But then once you take it into the public sector and there's an objective value put on it, it's a fucking eye-opening experience when you realize that your fucking internal value that you put on what you create is something totally different than the objective value of those who are supposed to sell you or those who are supposed to put your name in lights, and then people will come and pay money to get that entertainment. Like, if you don't have that value, that objective value for promoters, you don't have value. No matter how much value you think the art you create has, if there isn't that objective fucking value that someone can benefit from, like monetarily, by numbers, by asses in seats, you might as well not even exist. And that is the harsh truth I had to just kind of cuddle up with and be like, okay, I guess we're gonna like be buddies now. After all the work, after all the effort you put into something that it just doesn't have objective monetary value. It's not economically viable. It's not a business model that is working. It's not profitable. And the pandemic happened, and it's like, yeah, it is what it is, bruh.
Let's do this.
So,
yeah, I mean, it's always good to hold on to silver lining and find positive in anything. And, like, coronavirus pandemic and everything that's happened has been terrible. And a lot of people have died, and a lot more people are going to die.
Yeah. So what does my shit even matter in the scheme of all of this anyway? It doesn't.
Well, and that's another cold reality, is that, like, pretty much across the board, anything that anyone does doesn't matter. We're all ants in this giant fucking sandbox, and, like, you might leave a small legacy within your family. You might leave a small mark in your local community. So very, very few people leave a small mark in history, but ultimately each of us are nothing. Like, we're insignificant, and, like, so when it comes down to it, like we were talking about earlier, the point is just to do what you enjoy, to do what you want. And, like, that's it. And, like, yeah, I mean, good on you though, like, for being able to adapt, overcome, basically evolve. And, like, and I've seen that with a lot of people, like, it's really this kind of pressure that the pandemic's done. It's opened a lot of people up to what they can become, to what they can improve to be, like physically, emotionally, and cognitively, like, you name it. And that's the only way to evolve, is through selective pressure. And what greater selective pressure than a worldwide, pandemic that's killed hundreds of thousands, if not, by now maybe millions. Who knows what the true counts are. And it's going to persist for another year, 2, 3, who knows how long, like possibly forever. We'll have to stay vaccinated for it. If we ever get a vaccine that works, there's so much unknown. Yeah, dude.
It's but through all of this inward thought, like it's just been a really humbling experience to really accept how minuscule my reach is and how, like, I use the word meaningless, but yeah, if it's meaningless. The only thing that matters to me right now is the woman that I sleep in bed with every night, my friends, the people I love, you guys, like, and it really shifts your priorities because, okay, why am I out in Los Angeles? I'm out here to pursue my music career because I have managerial and booking contacts out here. Well, that's all gone now. So it makes you and not only have I had to be honest with myself, but I have to be honest with, like, why am I doing what I'm doing? And what is the point? And what is important? And it's all subjective once again, but like a fucking music career or the fucking people that matter? Like, which one's more important? I mean, our mother is 72 years old.
Yeah.
And she is a lifelong smoker. Should I fucking be out here paying fucking $1,500 a month for a 1-bedroom apartment in a crappy neighborhood? Being thousands of miles away from my family and my friends when there isn't any shows? There is, Or do go somewhere where it's a little bit more affordable to live, where I can be in close proximity, even with COVID. I mean, I don't know. I think I just answered my own question right there.
No, I mean, what brought you out there? It's shifted.
It's gone. It hasn't shifted.
Yeah,
it hasn't shifted. It has ceased to exist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And will it come back or not? Who knows? And even if it does, is that something you want to continue to pursue? I mean, it's great that you're able to pivot the way you did. Like, you're resilient, and you're also very brave. Like, doing this kind of stuff, like, for a living, putting yourself out there, it can't be easy. I was nervous as hell before starting this conversation. Like, I've been able to just kind of just shut that out and, like, hey, it's just you and me, man. Like, there's nothing else here. There's, Jedi mind trick. But yeah, it's impressive. It's impressive. Like, from where I'm standing, like, I've done so much more of, like, the traditional straight and narrow, boring approach and I don't know. I don't really feel like I followed my dreams a whole lot. And, like, where conversely you've been able to follow your dreams and truly, like, be free and, like, try to plot your own course and, like, do things your way and do what you want. And, like, I admire that. I admire that a great deal. And I'd love to be able to cut free from like all of my responsibilities and like that. I'm not saying that in a jaded way.
What are you trying to say, bro?
No, you know what I mean. Like, I'd love nothing more than to cut loose and, like, just go freaking wander the mountains. That'd be so much fun. I was like, but I got a 6-year-old kid, and he's the center of my universe, and a job, and I got a house and bills I got to pay for, but yeah, I don't know. I'd love to be able to retool and chart a different course, an independent course that's not reliant upon outside organizations for, existence. And
it's gonna change too. That's the thing, is right now, like, this is working for me, but there's gonna come a point where I'm gonna have to pivot again. But ultimately, and what I've learned through therapy is that any sort of braveness or putting myself out there or any of that shit, like, what it comes down to is I'm trying to get the validation from the public that I never got being a fat little boy wanting his daddy to tell him that I love you and I'm proud of you. And that's the fucking basis of everything that I do. Like, my need to perform and my need to get up in front of people. And, like, even when I was, like, a little kid, I was just like, somebody tell me I'm special, you know? And I think realizing that has really set me free in a way, because once you realize that you're not that special, you're just a human being, and essentially what you do is meaningless. It's yeah.
It really opens you up to be able to do whatever the fuck you want to do to give you that inner happiness.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Aw.
Say hi.
Hi, Ellie. Let's see.
Hey. We've been talking for 2
Uh,
hours and 50 minutes. Does this have caffeine in it? Oh, it does?
Sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Love caffeine.
I want to drink the whole thing.
Uh,
But yeah, so we're like, I feel kind of free, even though I'm somewhat tethered to this computer, but it's gotten to the point where I don't know, I just don't need people to tell me I'm fucking special anymore, because
that's beautiful. That's a beautiful thing, because you're not.
Well, not only am I not special, but part of my therapy is when I get up in the morning, I tell myself that I'm special and that I'm good. And that's the whole point of the exercise, is to give yourself that validation that you were so desperately seeking for years from the outside. Give that to yourself, and then you won't need that from other people. You won't need for someone else to be like, oh, he's attractive, or he's smart, or he's funny, or he's a good musician. He plays guitar well. It's just like, at that point, you're just like, well, I know I'm a decent human being, and I've tried really hard, and it just is what it is. This is what I got. Fuck it.
It's important to have self-love, man. And when it comes down to it,
I still think I suck.
We all should feel good about, what we've done, however small, however big. Like, wake up and tell yourself that, like, I deserve to live. I deserve to thrive. I, deserve to feel good. And I deserve to feel good about what I've accomplished, or I deserve to give myself a break if there's, hasn't been much that I've accomplished in, a few days or however long, like if you're in a depressive slump, like I've been before in my life. But being your friend, being your own friend, loving yourself, like looking at yourself in the mirror and just giving yourself a pat on the back. Like, it's so important. So important. And everyone deserves to love themselves. Everyone deserves to feel good about themselves. And yeah, it's that, like the self-love and then also the gratitude. And that's another thing, is like, God, the gratitude comes so much easier when you can find self-love. When you can truly feel like, I have good intention. I might not always be good. I might not always do good, but you know what? I mean good. I know I mean good. I know I mean to not do harm. Sometimes I do harm. I am human. I fuck up nonstop. We all fuck up, and we all think we're supposed to be perfect. And you know what? We're not robots, and that makes us perfect. That makes us perfect. Humans are nothing but fuck ups, but you know what? We know how to love, and we know how to give. If we can love ourselves, and if we can give gratitude, God, man, life just can get so much better.
Right on, dude.
That sounds that looks scrumptious.
Hey, Allie, can I finish this? I pretty much already finished it. Okay, thank you.
So she's so nice to you.
She is nice to me. She is nice to me. And what's weird is like we've had this conversation before. There are times where I try to sabotage that shit in my own brain because I don't feel like I deserve it. Because the whole time we were kids, we were made to think that fucking, I don't know, like we were always doing something wrong, like we were fucking up constantly.
Well, yeah, we never deserved everything that was granted and bestowed upon us. We were so lucky and so fortunate, and we were so ungrateful It's like
we were lucky, and we were lucky, and we were fortunate. But like, what did homeboy want us to do? Like, get on our knees and fucking kiss his feet? It's like, dude,
probably
like our mother had a big fucking part in all of our development, whether it was like doing homework charts in the summer or like swim lessons and shit. Like, that was all mom. He just fucking worked some job he hated and came home and yelled at us every day. Yeah. So like, if we owe anyone gratitude and anyone fucking thanks, it's that woman.
Absolutely. He you know what though, I mean, I think he did us good in a way by being such an asshole. Because realistically, dude, I mean, not every interaction you have with other people in the world is going to be positive.
That's true.
If you can get used to someone being an asshole all the time and being abusive, and like it obviously, yes, it's damaging. Obviously, yes, you internalize it and it can negatively affect your psyche, but to some degree, having that exposure is like a good preparation for, hey, the real world fucking sucks. Like, it's hard. People are mean, and it's better for you to be prepared to learn how to cope, learn how to deal with it, but in a healthy way. I think ours was relatively excessive, and because we had this ultimately negative father where nothing was ever good, and then we had conversely this mother where everything was absolutely perfect, and when we farted, fucking rainbow gas came out. Like it screwed our minds, it screwed our psyches. Like it probably led us towards bipolar propensity in some way, at least environmentally, if not from an internal aspect. But I mean, we lived in a freaking bipolar environment, dude. It's crazy. But yeah, ultimately though, all of Dad's issues, they were his dad. It was, all of the issues that he had from his childhood, getting beat, getting whipped with belts, getting sent off to boarding school because he was never good enough, and like he could never do right. And like, our grandpa that we never met, he was the reason why our dad was the way he was. And he was the patriarchal male of the family. And like, he had to basically step in when grandpa died prematurely of a heart attack because of poor health, and fill his shoes in his 20s, or even less than that. I think he was a teen. And like,
wow,
no,
yeah.
I think it was, I don't know. It doesn't even matter. But
that had to have fucked him up.
It fucked him up huge. And then his grandma was kind of an ice queen. Just there wasn't much comfort, support. So you get the snot beat out of you, and then you look at your mom for help, and she's just like, well, that's what you get, you little snot. It's like, whoa, like, no wonder he was an abusive asshole. Like, he was abused. But yeah, he wasn't fortunate enough to have that juxtaposition that we had, with mom being the other side, showing us that hey, there is another way. It's like, compassion can win the day. Love can conquer. Like, and granted, my mom, love her, she's great. She was both of our parents, but she took it too far that way. And like, she was making up for him, but there wasn't the absence of damage because of how overboard she went with us to make up and repair what he had broken. And like, it's just confused the shit out of us. It
is really confusing when one of your parents makes you feel like a piece of shit and the other one just is too nice.
Yeah.
Wow, it is wild, man.
Yeah. But
too nice. Yeah.
When it comes down to it, I most days I feel bad for Dad.
Well, ultimately, I've been saying that word. We've all been saying ultimately a whole lot. But what through therapy, I ended up putting myself in his shoes a little bit and just being like, wow, like, what a sad life.
Right.
In so many respects, like the way he was raised, the way his father died, and And then, you know, him buying into the whole corporate America ideal of like, this will make you happy, and then him busting his ass, and then like trying to, instead of being satisfied with the cushy fucking Ford job that he had, the white collar fucking executive position that he had, he's like, well, I got to get more. This is America. You can't be satisfied. You have to get more and more and more. So then he like did all these, he like quit that job and then like went to do something that was supposed to make him more money. And then he ended up getting fired from that. He ended up selling the fucking cars that he once was an executive of that company. He ended up being just a grunt on the sales floor selling those vehicles. Like the amount of failure, and then he like internalized that and then projected it on us. Like, what a sad life. Lonely life. Yeah. I used to hate him so much, but now I'm just like, man, that guy, it's like his obsession with having the American dream come true for him ended up just alienating him and causing him like just to be the loneliest dude on the fucking planet. And then the person he arguably abused the most, our sister, they end up becoming like best friends in some weird fucking what's it called when you're like kidnapped by someone and then you start to like become friends with them?
Like Stockholm syndrome.
Some weird Stockholm syndrome ass fucking scenario that none of us ever saw coming. Yeah, I can't wrap my head around that.
A lot of drama.
Dude. And
a lot of drama.
And it's not worth it. I'm too tired. It's funny because I was talking to one of the dudes that plays drums for my band out in Detroit, and he's got this he knows this dude that's all fucking right-wing pro-Trump, and he's going to war with everyone on Facebook, going to war with everyone on Instagram, and most of the people I know are pretty left-leaning, at least the people I play music with. And I told Phil, I'm like, dude, I'm almost 40 years old. Like, I had to block this guy because I'm just tired. I don't have the energy to fucking argue with strangers on the internet anymore. You know, I'm just
ultimately, what are you accomplishing? You're just blowing steam.
I'm just tired. You believe what you believe. You stand in your corner. You support who you support, and I'll do the same. But I'm not going to try to change your fucking mind, bro. And just because I'm expressing my opinion, it doesn't mean I want to hear yours. Like, I'm tired.
All right. Well, I mean, it's been a pretty heated political climate for a while now, and I mean, now like more than ever in history, dude, things are crazy. The world's on fire, and like
literally
everyone is just looking, working so hard to find something to hold on to, and like to bring them comfort, or to bring them some semblance of understanding of the current situation, or like give them a platform to stand on, so at least they have a group to line up with, considering all of these issues that are happening in the world. And in reality, man, like, dude, we're all in this together. Doesn't matter what your affiliation is, which way you lean, what way you swing, who you believe in, what rights you think we should have or not have, or alien rights, or religious views. Like, we all have the same biological structure. We all start from the same, egg and seed combination. Like, we're all the same. We are all the same race. We're the human race, and like, it's just bonkers. There's so much division, and the power players sow this division. They know they reap benefit from splitting the populace, and both sides. They both start pseudo fights to sit back and let people fight the fights for them, and they reap the benefits on both sides, of the political aisle, red, blue. And I'm so sick of partisan politics. I'm so sick of everyone just being at everyone else's throat. And it's like, dude, we're we're all the same. And it doesn't matter if you're freaking American or Iraqi or Chinese or Japanese. We're all fucking human. It doesn't matter if you're black. It doesn't matter if you're white. Like, we all deserve to be happy. We all deserve to be able to work together. We all deserve to be able to have, you know, the same nice things, the same safeties, the same security. But the only way we get there where we're going to truly be equal is if we all work together. And like, nobody works together anymore. Everyone is turning against each other. And God, what do you do to stop it? You know, these people have their pulpits, have their media outlets, have their media companies, have their spin doctors. And like, nowadays you can take the most outlandish lie and put it out there, and 40% of the fucking population will buy it hook, line, and sinker with ease. And like, and I might piss some people off because I have some friends who are, for whatever reason, flat earthers, but let's be real. Let's be real here. Like, are you serious? Like, right? Like, how can people fall for the most obvious lies and deceit and fucking hate mongering? Like, what are you drinking?
It's some fancy drink Allie made me. It's
What's
chai.
that? It's chai?
Yeah.
Oh, I love chai tea.
She's getting me all caffeinated for some reason.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah, it's you know, I'm soapboxing a bit on that stuff. It's so hard to watch the world burn, and like be totally powerless, not be able to do anything to help it course correct or help people like wake up and realize like this is universal suffrage. Like, we are all in this. We are all just as susceptible to death and tragedy and infection and poverty, and we're all meat bags, but we can't. The answer is tearing each other apart. Like, that's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't have the energy to fight people anymore, whether it's you know, in my interpersonal relationships or whether it's on fucking line. I just don't. Dude, like, my last 2 relationships before the one I was in was just all fighting, you know? And I used to think that coincided with some sort of love. Like, oh, if you love a person and you're passionate, you're going to fight. But now if Allie and I start fighting, I'm just like, can we stop this, please? I don't have the energy. I just don't have the energy. I just don't want to fight anymore. I'm fucking tired, dude. I just don't. Oh, she says the reason I want to end it is because I'm wrong. Yeah. That's funny. That's funny.
I'll stay out of that one.
That's funny. That is funny. But that's the thing, is it's all has to do with perceived right and wrong. Like, everyone's thoroughly convinced that the way they think is right, and then they want to fight. And it's just like, you know, I don't know, is the way I think right? I don't fucking know, but I'm not going to fight about it. I'm too tired. Right, wrong, I'm too tired to fight, bro. I'm done. I quit.
It's exhausting, man. It's exhausting. But I don't know. I've been thinking a lot lately, like, we got to fight, like, not actually like be combative, but at least stick up for people, like fight to right wrongs as we.
Oh yeah.
You know, if that means like intervening if you see a cop harassing someone, or if that means, you know, you witness some racism, step in and try and course correct, and like, you know.
Yeah, I'm not even because I'm all for intervening in those type of situations, and a lot of the BLM and a lot of what my friends are involved with, like, I'm all for that fire that they have. I'm just talking about me personally, trying to change somebody's mind who already has it made up that what they think is right. That's pointless. But
well, and people's obvious propensity for stubbornness, for not being able to consider other options or consider the possibility that their belief might not be right, you know, or or in certain circumstances might not be appropriate or might not be right. And it's like everyone thinks that come higher hell water. It's like my belief structure is what I'm going to adhere to, regardless, above all else, above all like sensibility. No, I'm going to stick to my guns. And it's what? Like how do you learn? How can you learn anything if you're not open-minded? How can you sit there and think that, in your however many years of life, let's say like a 50-year-old, that truth, like you've been alive for 50 years. You've been alive for like the shortest blip of a period imaginable in the existence of the universe. And you think you understand? Like, let's be real. Like none of us understand. None of us truly know right or wrong, or origins, or like the whys behind what is. And be willing to let go of your belief systems. Be willing to consider that other belief systems, might be better given certain circumstance. And like, why? I don't know. Well, like I said, man, the world's on fire, and we're all fighting each other. And why? Where are we getting? Where are we going with this? What progress are we making? We're tearing things down. We're not building up.
Yeah, we're regressing, dude. As a species, I think it's bad.
I think we might be
You think what? Where'd you go? I wonder if your phone died. I think Bobby's phone might have died. What's a guy to do? I'm proud of my brother, though, man. Like, what a thoughtful dude. I think his phone might have died. But, yeah, it's a lot to consider. Talking to a guy who's been through a lot. And the call, he's off the call. Is that the end of the podcast? Hallie's saying that's the end of the podcast. I think we need to end it on that. Heavy conversation, draining conversation. We talk of war and fucking things being on fire and aliens and propensities and dad issues, and oh my God, what a fucking SUPcast this was. Let's call it. Thanks anyone for tuning in today, and it's going to go live tomorrow on all the listening platforms. And if you like what I do, consider supporting me on Patreon. There's a link somewhere. And everyone have a beautiful rest of your weekend. And yeah, take into consideration, do we need to be fighting right now? Do we need to be so right? Or, no, he's back. He's back. Let's see what this is. He's back. He's back. He's back.
Hello.
Hey.
Phone died.
Yeah, I assume so. I was just gonna conclude the podcast.
It makes sense. Yeah, it's been a long run.
Yeah, my butt hurts.
Half hours. Yeah.
I've been sitting on this donut seat for over 3 hours. So.
Oh.
But hey, man, I appreciate you being so transparent and honest, and I'm proud of you, man, because it's a trip. You're certainly not that little shithead kid breaking your glasses with a brick that you were in the 80s, you know?
Yeah, I'd like to think I changed a little bit.
Yeah, you're a thoughtful guy, and you're smart, and you feel things, and I'm proud to know you, man. And I'm glad that we could do this, and I'm glad that you are open to coming on here, man.
That was fun, man. It's kind of terrifying, but comforting at the same time. Being here, hanging out with you.
Yeah, it's
opportunity, and yeah, love spending time with you, man. Love you, brother.
I love you too, man. And I think you'll be seeing me sooner than later.
Well, I got a spot for you if you need it temporarily.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We have a muffin. We have a little cat princess.
I like kitties.
We have a harness for her. We're going to start, just because we may have to drive with her in tow. And she's defiant, but she's very sweet, too.
Yeah, most cats don't like harnesses.
Oh, no.
There's something unnatural about it, whereas dogs seem very comfortable with leashes. I don't know why, but yeah. Good luck with that.
We'll see what happens. I stink. I need to put on some deodorant.
Yeah, you do.
Bro, but I love you, man. Thanks for doing this, and thanks for opening up. And I really think that anyone that listens to this, they need to hear stuff like what you went through in order to give them a little perspective. I think it's really easy to just have an opinion on certain things without really knowing what the people are going through. So
I agree, man.
yeah. So we'll talk soon.
I like it, man. Thanks for having me on. Namaste.
Namaste. If you hit that red button, then I'm gonna say a couple more words and be gone.
All right. So wait, what red button? Like leave?
Yeah, leave the combo. I love you, man.
Love you too, brother. Peace out.
Bye. Oh, you're back. Bye. Oh. So that's it. Okay. What's nice is we went 3 hours and 16 minutes for this year's SUPcast, and we dropped 70 frames. That's 0.0% of the frames, and I fixed the battery issue. We're working with a fucking new interface. I mean, we are progressing here. We are progressing in this little world of mine. And we're learning, and we are listening, and we are taking into consideration the experiences of other people, and we're developing opinions and trying to be decent human beings. And that's all you can do. Just be good and love yourself and all the shit we just talked about. And let's see what happens next. Only time will tell. Love you very much. Take care of you. Take care of the people you love. And what matters to you, it's exactly what it is. It matters to you. And that makes it important to you. So hold on to the shit that matters and hold on fucking tight. Love you very much.